All right. I think we are live because I hit the button. What is going on, everybody? This is Randall Thor 19, the man with the million. And we're back after a 1 week vacation. This is the Xbox 2 podcast. Maybe we should call it the Xbox Series X podcast because both me and my co-host, Jez Corden of Windows Central, have Xbox Series X's in our possession. What is going on, buddy? How you been? Sorry for the no podcast last week. What's going on?
It's all good, man. Health comes first and all that jazz, so apparently. That's what my therapist tells me anyway. But yeah, it's all good, man. You know, just been this week's, stress, making sure all the content's out. You might have seen me stressing about our unboxing video last week on Twitter.
That was a very interesting. So how did that work? So were you not planning on filming it until like Thursday, and then when it moved up, were you like, oh man, I need to really get Miles to do this ASMR voiceover, right?
Well, it's like we're a small team, right? We're not like a massive team with a video production studio like IGN or something like that. We work to a very, very, very tight schedule because we're short-handed, right? So I was working to the opinion that stuff was coming later. And that embargo was coming later, and then they're like, "Oh, by the way, now the embargo is now." So I kind of freaked out a little bit on Twitter. Got a bit frustrated, But we got there in the end, man. Miles and Matt Brown shot our footage, and Miles edited it together. So shout out to those guys for their hard work. Because I just don't have any light. I live in the dark like some kind of vampiric creature in the night,
Yes,
that's my life. But we got there in the end. And did you do an unboxing video? I saw some people's unboxings. I don't know if I saw yours.
Yeah, I did. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But other than that, how you been, bud? I mean, is everything okay outside of the stress of producing content for Windows Central? You doing all right?
Yeah, man, just playing games and all that stuff. Like, what was actually up last week with you? Like, with the...
Oh, dude,
yeah,
yeah. So, all right, Look, I want to apologize to everybody for not doing the show. Like, me and Jazz have trying to been really consistent about doing the show every week because there was some times, whether it was I wasn't feeling good or he wasn't feeling good, that we would skip. And I know, a lot of people really like to listen to the show, and I get tons of messages every single week, especially this past week, like, man, I hope you're feeling better, missed the show. I really wanted to do it, but like when I got up, my head was just pounding and my stomach was just like, I wasn't feeling good, so I didn't really feel like doing a show. And then I was like, I took out my dog Shakespeare, which you guys have seen pictures of and I've talked about in the show. And like I had this really, I wouldn't say intense pain in my foot, but there was a pain in my heel when I was walking to the point where like I was favoring my foot, right? I was favoring my left foot. So I get back inside and I take off my shoe and my sock is just covered in blood. I'm like, whoa, what the hell's going on? So I look and I got this huge deep gash in my heel, like right where it's like, your foot, like kind of that angular part of the heel where it's like just sitting right there, just this huge gash. So it was making it like difficult. I mean, I could walk. It just makes it. I just kind of got to favor the foot. So like I was dealing with that, and then the headache, and I was just like, I can't do it on Friday. So then we tried doing it on Saturday, and I had the same problems. I was like, I just can't do it. Like we'll just skip this week. So I apologize for not having the show last week because I really wanted to do it.
So good.
Yeah. But I want to thank everybody for being here. We already got some super chats. We got one from Gunstar. He says 11 days. For us mere mortals, I may pee myself. Yeah, a lot of people are going to be happy on November 10th and November 12th when the PS5 and Series X arrives. And RDX Devin Nunes says, shout out to Dealer Gaming, D-Batch, and Cold Eastwood for being 100% on RDNA 2 only on Series X and S. No, Pony fans are downplaying. But it's interesting because me and Jez were talking about that pre-show about what RDNA 2, full RDNA 2 means for the Xbox Series X. And if you guys watched my video yesterday, I'm not a tech guy. I kind of was just reading from Microsoft's page, but I did say, like, I'm not really sure what this means, and we don't know if Sony has their own custom variants, but Jez has some insight onto that, and we'll definitely be talking about that, a little bit later in the show. Tim says the Xbox 2 podcast, more tomatoes than a farm, more filmic than a multiplex, and with more bone cream than Pornhub. Love the podcast, guys. Happy Friday. Well, thank you, Tim. And Michael Blevins without a message, but thank you for all the support, guys. You mean a lot to us here. Someone says I blocked them. I barely block anybody. Like, I think I have 5 people blocked on Twitter. So I definitely didn't block you on Twitter because I don't recognize your name. And I
probably blocked you.
Oh, well, okay.
I have like 5,000 people blocked.
Yeah.
And growing by the day.
You have a lot of people blocked. I don't. I typically more mute people if I don't want to see what they have to say. I just mute and just ignore them. So, yeah. But I mean, we got a big show. We got a big show planned. We got to talk about stuff from last week. We got to talk about stuff from this week. I mean, we're going to talk about our Xbox Series X unboxings, what full RDNA 2 means for everything. The Halo Infinite problems, of course, big thing. I think, Jez, you have some insight on that, correct, right? Because you kind of knew about this, like, the week before? Because I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah, I mean, you will notice that Windows Central got its article up pretty much instantly after Jason Schreier leaked it. That's because we had it pre-written.
Yeah. I remember you told me the week before that that you thought Chris Lee was going to be leaving 343. So we kind of knew. Yeah.
I just didn't want to leak it or be the one to leak it because I feel that's personal, right? This should
very
be like
personal.
Should be him to announce that. So I didn't want to post that on his behalf. But so we waited for someone else to leak it basically.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Cyberpunk delay, Xbox new hardware, Todd Howard confirming that Elder Scrolls 6 might not be an Xbox exclusive. Man, I saw a lot of clickbait based on his little quote there. There's a lot of stuff.
Naughty reporting about that.
I know. You're trying to fit their narrative. We'll talk about all this stuff. So, while you guys kind of filter in here, make sure you hit that like button. It's really important. Subscribe button, notification bell if you always want to be notified whenever this podcast goes live. And hit that share button, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook. YouTube always, does a pretty poor job a lot of the times. And even our tomato bot and our Discord didn't even notify people. Jazz, you noticed that? It hasn't notified anybody? Is the bot not doing its job? What's going on?
Oh man, the bot might have gone renegade. To be honest, the bot doesn't always catch when we go live for some reason.
Yeah,
I need to look.
Well, it hasn't even caught my last couple videos. So,
oh wow,
yeah. Chaos Mite says, "Shout out to Rand and Jez. Keep up the good work. Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much." Yeah. So we got a big show. We got a very big show. And we're going to talk a little bit about the games we've been playing. It's the most important part about gaming to me, at least. Like, it's fun talking about Series X and all these different things, but video games is the most important thing. And I have a clip up of Raji, an ancient epic, which came out a couple weeks ago on the Series X. I finally got a chance to play it. I'll be talking about that. Pretty cool game. Unfortunately, essentially, I won't have much to say outside of that game because I'm not sure I can talk about the games I've been playing. I definitely can't show the games I've been playing, at least capture it on the Series X, because that would be a no-no. At least for me. I don't know what it is for Jez. Jez might be under different rules than me.
We're all on the same embargo now, I believe. So, but some influencers have been confused about that, and they've been posting things they shouldn't have been. It's very confusing times, actually.
Yeah, very, very confusing.
It's the weirdest embargo I've ever been under. It's the weirdest one.
Christian says, congrats on getting the Series X early. How are you liking it so far? Thank you, and I can't say.
We're under NDA, so we can't talk about our final impressions. I can talk about my preview impressions from last month, I think. Like, that article exists, so, But what we're using now is closer to the final retail product, so the experience is a little bit different. So it's complicated, but we can't answer questions about the Xbox Series X, I'm afraid. Basically,
Zeke is constantly bombarding chat with a question he wants me to ask you, Jez. So I will. He says, "Ask Jez what Microsoft's future innovations and technologies are, or what are Microsoft's future innovations and technologies? Do you know?"
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not yet. So yeah,
we have to wait and see.
Yeah, so basically, we're going to get into the topics in probably 10, 15 minutes. We're going to talk about the games we've been playing first. Jez, you go. Can you even talk about the games you've been playing? I mean, I know you've been playing on Series X. And can you even mention the stuff you've been playing?
There is one game I can talk about because the embargo's lifted, and that's Watch Dogs Legion. Been playing that a lot.
Yes.
We reviewed it. We gave it pretty high praise because it's pretty damn awesome. Oh, just punched the mic there by accident. Watch Dogs Legion. I've been playing that a fair bit. It's we don't have the Series X upgrade yet. So today, Ubisoft dropped a video which shows ray tracing in all its glory on the Xbox Series X. The version I have does not include that. So I can't comment on the Xbox Series X version, but I can comment on the Xbox One X version, which is like, what we have available through backwards compatibility. And it's a lot of fun. It's like it still has that Ubisoft open world stuff in it, that they're known for, go to a base, crack all the stuff open, stealth around and stuff like that. But I like this a bit more than some of their recent games because of the permadeath features. Are you playing with permadeath on?
I have yet to start Watch Dogs Legion. I kind of wanted to.
Can you talk about it? Oh no, it's out now. We can talk about it. We can talk about it because it's out.
Yes.
Is it out?
Watch Dogs Legion is out. Although, if I'm going to be playing it, it's going to be on Series X, and I'm not sure I could talk about that.
I'm so confused. All these overlapping embargoes right now.
I mean, Watch Dogs is out, so you could talk about the game.
Yeah,
maybe you just can't talk about what. I mean,
it runs.
As far as I can tell, I don't even know if I can say it. Never mind. I don't know what I can and can't say. So about certain things, and I haven't played Watch Dogs Legions to even give an impressions about it because I was gonna wait and play it when it got the ray tracing update on Series X and give a more in-depth review about it. My thoughts. But if you've played a little bit of the story, just tell us about this. What do you think so far?
Well, the story's like it's kind of spooky if you're British because it's a little close to home, but it's like everything has become privatized. Like, NHS is privatized, the police is privatized, the government's privatized, the Queen is missing. Like, it's all weird and spooky and corrupt, and the private company that's taken over the police is in league with local gangsters, like classic sort of East End gangsters, only cybernetically enhanced, and all this stuff. And but like I was saying, what's cool about it for me over other Ubisoft games is that like it has this permadeath mechanic which makes you really care about executing stealth properly. I think one of the things Assassin's Creed lost in recent years was the sense that it was a stealth game and you had to stealth and be really careful. Like in Assassin's Creed, in some of the modern Assassin's Creed games, if you screw up a stealth infiltration, it's like a minor frustration. But in Watch Dogs Legion, if you're playing it with stealth, if you're trying to be stealthy with permadeath on hard mode, it's actually really stressful and really impactful when you lose like one of your favorite operatives because they will die. And unless some of them have a perk, which is like they get an extra life, like they go to hospital or something, but most of them just will die. And I was playing most of the game with like an operative that I really enjoyed playing. I bought all special clothes and I was invested in this character and I was playing it and I got almost comfortable with the game and the combat and all of the way it worked, and I sort of got a bit careless, and then she took a shotgun blast to the face from a riot drone, and she was just dead. She was dead and gone. And this is like 10 hours into the game, and I was like, oh my god, my main character is dead. But that was like an impactful moment that I hadn't really had in a Ubisoft game for a long time. So I do. Oh, there's the alarm to be on the podcast. Time zones are all whack because
yours went an hour early this past weekend. Yeah, mine goes my clock goes back on Sunday. So
yeah, the time zones are all we're an hour closer than usual. So this is an early podcast for me for a change. Much more comfortable actually this time of day. But yeah, as I was saying, it's like if you do play Watch Dogs Legion, I highly recommend playing it with permadeath turned on. You can turn it off if you want to. If you want like a chill experience and you don't want that frustration. But I've been having a blast with it on hard mode with permadeath on, because it forces you to really think about all the stealth mechanics and plan your infiltration. Something that I feel Assassin's Creed has just lost over the years. So yeah, I've been loving it because of that. But that's mostly what I've been playing. Some of the other games I've been playing I can't talk about yet, like Yakuza, Like a Dragon. I've been playing a lot of that. Can't talk about it. Been playing Falconeer. Can't talk about it. I've been playing Tetris Connected, which is surprisingly great, but can't talk about it beyond that. Don't sleep on that. Actually, it's already out, isn't it? Tetris Effect is already out.
Came out last year, but the multiplayer is exclusive to Xbox for a little portion of time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can't talk about that, I guess, but like Tetris Effect is surprisingly emotional. It's for those who've played the single player.
People love the single player like portion of that. Like they were really like, I'm not that big of a Tetris fan, but like the single player people raved about it. I actually might check it out when I get a chance.
I hadn't heard of it before this. So I didn't know that it had already released on PlayStation or other platforms, but well, like it's got this sort of like Zen dynamic music that gets more intense the further you get in, and that's the same on the PlayStation 4. So I'm pretty sure I can talk about that since it's the same. Got to be careful what you say, on this kind of podcast. But it's really cool, and like I was like, man, I'm getting emotional about Tetris. What is this? So don't sleep on that game. That's it's gonna be pretty special, I think. And man, I've been playing loads of games. I've been playing Hades too.
Oh yeah, I saw your post about that, and people love Hades, man. I wish you can. I mean, I know it's on PC and Switch, but like I would just much rather just play it on my Xbox. It's not, and Supergiant's kind of ignored the Xbox platform for a bit. I know they're a small studio. Yeah. They did Bastion, which was a hit on Xbox, and then they kind of did some PlayStation games. It was they did Pyre, they did Transistor, and those games kind of only were on PlayStation. I think it came to PC, and then Hades came out. It's been in early access for a while. People seem to loved it. It's a roguelite, but people say it's like, even people who don't like roguelites, like me, like I don't really like the genre, say like, oh, the story's so amazing, and it makes like each run very, like, it's supposed to be like this really amazing game. So you're playing it on what, PC or Switch?
I'm playing it on PC, so I've got a slightly different experience with it. But it's like it just feels amazing. Like whoever designed the combat in that is a genius. Like I can't even describe it. It's like when you attack, you can also slide at the same time. So it's a very active game, and you only get like 1 health bar per run. So you want to be really careful. So like, you just slide around while attacking. It just feels great. Like I can't describe it. You have to just try it. So like, if you've got a Switch or a PC, like it's so cheap right now. It's like $15 for Halloween, on sale. Go and try it. It's super addictive. It's almost like playing Tony Hawk if it was a combat game. It's hard I can't describe it. Like I really can't. Which is weird because I'm supposedly a professional writer, but it is really good. But that's pretty much. I've been playing loads of stuff because it's review season. That's pretty much all I can talk about. Have you been playing anything out of the ordinary?
So, well, people can look at my profile, and well, that's somebody calling to make sure I don't break NDA. But I have played Dirt 5. Not gonna say anything more than that. I played some like Gears 5, Forza Horizon 4. Sea of Thieves recently, Gears Tactics, Yakuza, but I'm not going to say anything about those games. But the game I kind of did play last week was Raji, an Ancient Epic, which is the game clip you guys are seeing. And I actually kind of like the game. It's a little bit expensive at $25, so if you're kind of price sensitive, maybe wait. But as an indie title, I think it looks beautiful for what it's trying to do. And it's fun, and it tells a very interesting story that you don't normally see explored in video games that much. It's very like Indian mythology, like I wouldn't say mythology because like it deals with like the those gods like Shiva and Vishnu and stuff. And so, because normally you don't really see a lot of,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, most of the time, like, oh, you got the Greek panthology or the Roman, gods or stuff like that. You don't really get video games based in that Eastern,
The culture.
yeah, culture. So and it does a very good job of kind of like explaining the gods in a very simple way, because like I think Shiva has like 8 different forms and stuff like that. So I was kind of enjoying it just from like the lesson of that type of culture. And the combat's pretty basic. I don't know, it gives me like a Prince of Persia vibe. Is kind of what I was when I was playing it. I'm like, yeah, this kind of reminds me of Prince of Persia. You do she's like an acrobat, and she can use the walls and poles to her advantage. And like the demons have risen up, and the gods are trying to help you, so they give you these weapons. The combat's pretty basic. You got your X and Y attacks, but then you can use the walls and the poles into your attacks to kind of, amplify them, and then you get more weapons. But I don't know, it's like a really coolly, as an indie game, I think it's visually impressive. It's kind of got that static lock camera, so that you kind of see what they want you to see. And I don't know, it's just a really fun game.
I did see that one. I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I know I when we talked about in the last podcast a couple weeks ago about Katana Zero, I can't like begin to tell you how many people actually message me and be like, "Bro, I really liked what you said about Katana Zero, and I saw the gameplay footage, and I downloaded the game, and I really want to say thank you so much because it was a great experience." And that's why we do this stuff. We talk about games on the show, and people check them out, especially with games that potentially are in Game Pass, so you don't really have to spend the $20 to buy the game. You can just download it and see it at your own leisure. But like, yeah, it really makes me smile every time I get a message when people are like, "Yeah, I love what you said about Katana Zero, so I downloaded it and I loved it, man. It's amazing." So, yeah, with Raji, I do recommend it, although I can understand why someone maybe would want to wait for a sale. And $25 for a game that's about 3 to 4 hours is maybe a little bit expensive, especially when holidays are coming up and you got to get gifts for people, or you're buying the Series X and the S and you maybe the PS5 and you just don't have the money. But keep it on your list. We got a question here from Adam. Who says, with all the shakeups happening at the old first-party studios, do you guys think Xbox Game Studios might be trying to change their culture and prep for next gen? I'm assuming he's talking about what's going on at Halo Infinite and the Everwild report yesterday that they lost a creative director as well at Rare. What do you think, Jez?
Yeah, well, that Microsoft's changing its culture. I don't think it's anything as far-reaching as that. I think it's just coincidence at this point that two creative directors left in a small window, but then YouTubers have to make content, so they spin it into something bigger than it is. No offense, Rand.
Well, what do you mean bigger than it is? What are you talking about? I didn't make a video about it.
Yeah, but your people, your
people.
YouTube colleagues, shall we call it?
You're a YouTuber now. You got an animated show on your channel, for Christ's sake.
That's true. I've only done one episode so far, though. But I think this is a coincidence at this point. I don't think there's a major shakeup of how Microsoft's handling their culture, but maybe there should be a shakeup.
Maybe there should be. Maybe there should be more oversight. We'll talk about that when we talk more about Halo. Binyabik, who said, "I missed the super chat." I didn't miss anything, buddy. We're just waiting. We're trying to finish a topic before we get into the super chats instead of breaking the flow. That was Jez's idea, by the way. He says, "Missed you guys. Is there a reason Microsoft's homepage changed to most powerful Xbox in their marketing? Moore's Law is dead. Still claim PS5 is more powerful." Well, Moore's Law is dead is wrong.
Who's that?
Your favorite, a YouTuber.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I say, the YouTubers have to make content, so they can just make it up about anything. They can say that PS5 is more powerful, even though mathematically it isn't on paper. But we're gonna get into that in more detail in a bit.
Yeah. RDX Devin Nunes says Jeff Grubb dropped a video showing Tetris multiplayer and everything about it today. I did watch his video about it. It does look pretty cool. Although Tetris isn't really my thing. I don't think I'll be playing people against people like that. So I'm interested in trying out the single player.
Yeah.
Face said, "Hey, do you guys see the Demon Souls gameplay trailer, and what are your thoughts?" I did see the Demon Souls gameplay trailer. It looks great. Looks like it's an incredibly looking game. The thing that struck out to me was basically, yeah, it's Demon Souls or Dark Souls. You know, like a lot of dodging, a lot of rolling, which is very, kind of what those games are. Like, I'm not a fan of Dark Souls. I never have been. However, I will say I love Sekiro, and I really did enjoy Bloodborne. Because launch is a little bit limited on both consoles with regards to first-party kind of exclusives, I'm definitely getting Spider-Man Miles Morales, and that's the first game I'm playing on my PS5. And then I will be getting Demon Souls. I'll see if I like it, because I don't know. Like, I don't know if I like Demon Souls. I don't know if it's too much like Dark Souls. We'll see. But yeah, it does look visually impressive. I mean, it's Bluepoint did a really good job with that remake. So there's that. Osmond says, "Keep rocking. Cheers, mate. Thank you for the support." And the one and only Tim Dog, Beastfire Tim Dog. One of the best guys you can imagine. Talk to Tim all the time. Jazz, you love Tim too, right?
Yeah, Tim's awesome, man. He supported me since I had like 30 followers.
Yeah.
He's an awesome guy.
Tim says Moore's Law is alive and said PS5 had RDNA 3. Yeah, a lot of people said PS5 had RDNA 3, but it doesn't even have the full RDNA 2 feature set. But then PS5 also is supposed to have 13 teraflops of power at one point, and a whole bunch of other things that didn't really turn out to be the case. So I'm not surprised that people are still running with the, because you know what's weird though, Jazz, and we'll talk about this in a minute. This kind of little tease. It's almost, I see people say that the Series X has standard RDNA 2, and that PlayStation 5 is better because it has custom RDNA 2. Like the word play there, like custom is somehow more like exotic,
dude,
right?
We live in the post-truth era. People can just make up whatever they want and believe it because facts don't matter anymore. That's what the internet has done. If you have like enough people crying about something, the facts just don't matter.
Yeah.
They just don't. So you have to choose what side are you on. Are you on the side of facts and reality, or are you on the side of make believe and fairy tales? You have to decide what side you're on, because that's ultimately the split now. Are you on the side of facts and realism, or the side of make believe and fairy tales? That's the world we live in now.
Yeah. Gunstar says, "Did Rand just say cheers, mate?" I did. Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate, for the support.
Oh my god, do they say that in not New York, in Chicago?
No, nobody says that in Chicago. No.
Well, why are you saying that then?
I just just thought I'd say something new. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I'm rubbing off on you, man. That's hilarious.
Faisal says, "What do you think of Todd's Howard comments?" We will definitely be talking about that for sure. 2YRG says, "Just watch a video. Sony claims they got rid of all the useless RDNA 2 features, and they created RDNA 3 with AMD and are going to announce it soon." Oh yeah. That's the thing I'm talking about. It's like somehow standard became, or like standard, like Xbox has the standard RDNA 2 features like it's a bad thing, and PlayStation has custom, and custom sounds just way better than standard. Or PlayStation has, got rid of the useless features. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
This is why, like, a lot of these people went from loving Digital Foundry in 2013, when they were, the facts were against Microsoft. They went from loving Digital Foundry to hating Digital Foundry, because Digital Foundry are on the side of facts and reality, unfortunately for them. So, because they're on the side of facts and reality, that makes it very hard if you're like someone who is against facts and reality, because they are gonna split your worldview in half. So proof's in the pudding, baby, and we're gonna get a lot of pudding in the next couple of months.
Face says, "On paper, Series X is more powerful, but people should wait for comparisons between PS5 and Series X from Digital Foundry and tech channels."
The guy's right. He's totally right. The proof's in the pudding.
I've always said that. I mean, like, I would imagine there are going to be games that look better on Series X and play better, and there probably be a couple games maybe that perform better on PlayStation. I mean, there were scenarios like that on the Xbox One X versus PS4 Pro. I mean, I do believe all the reports that the PlayStation 5 is easier to develop for. Like, I believe that. I've heard that behind the scenes myself.
It's true.
It's true.
That is true.
And there might be,
that.
and because of that, there might be cases where, the games perform as good as the Series X or even better. It's just that Xbox waited a little bit longer to finalize their architecture, and because of that, their software tools just aren't as up to par or as good or as easy as PlayStation's are yet.
No.
That's just the truth. At least as far as I know.
What I've heard is that's what I've heard too. I've heard the exact same thing, and I don't think we've ever talked about that behind the scenes, but I've heard that PlayStation 5's dev tools are just more mature. And in the short term, that's going to be an issue for Microsoft. But because they wanted to wait for this RDNA 2 integration. Mm-hmm. But, are we going to talk about that now or later?
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Derp the Chirp says, ponies want to talk about SSD even though it isn't graphically enhanced, Jack. That's why we have full NAND 2 and they have RDNA 1.5. See, that's why I said in my video, it really raises a hornet's nest because Microsoft was really shouting from the rooftops about it. But, Two Wire says, Grim Fandango full remaster on Game Pass. I did see that. They released, 3 Double Fine games, right, Jez? Grim Fandango, Full Throttle.
Yeah.
And, I forget the other one, Day of the Tentacle on Game Pass. Those are Double Fine games, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're on.
And also Brutal Legend a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
so
Brutal Legends.
We should see more of that.
Yeah.
Down the line.
But with the game talk out of the way, we're going to be moving into the topics. So if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you hit that like button and share this podcast out. Let's get more people in here. And we already have 1,600 people in here. So if you guys are enjoying the show, hit the like button and share it out. Let's talk about the unboxing stuff, Jez, first.
Sure.
I just wanted. I'll just say before I talk about it that the only reason I got one is because of you guys. You guys support the channel in ways that I never imagined. I started YouTube in 2016. Tim Dog really was one of the people who really pushed me to make a channel and talk about games, indie games, AAA games. They're my passion. And as everybody knows, I prefer Xbox. I just do. I like PlayStation, but I just like Xbox better. And I'm not a type of person who needs to downplay one to raise up the other. That's not me. It's never been me. Except for maybe Nintendo. Screw them, right? I don't care about Nintendo. But the point I'm trying to make is I wouldn't be where I am or got the system early from Microsoft if it wasn't for everybody here who tunes in the podcast every single week or who sees that notification from every videos I put out. It's been 4 years. I've been trying to do as much content as I possibly can, and it honestly, it means the world to me. It's changed my life to a certain extent. And every time I put out a video, I see all the likes and the comments and the views, and it just really it really makes my day. And I honestly can't thank each and every one of you guys enough for supporting me on YouTube. And because of you guys who power the channel by watching everything and talking with me about stuff, you guys are the reason I got the system. So yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. So people kind of gave me a little crap, which is deserved, about the intro to the unboxing, because yes, it was a complete fake reaction. I already knew what it was. I've known since the beginning of October I was getting an Xbox Series X. I got an email, and the email was basically, hey, we want to give you a Series X. And I was like, oh my, dude, Jez, I don't know, I think I told you when I got that email, I was so over the moon when
you were.
When I got that email, because I had asked for a 1X in 2017 and was basically told no in the nicest way possible. It wasn't like as in PR, you're never supposed to say no, right? So it's very interesting, because when I asked in 2017 about getting a 1X early, they basically told me no in very nice flowery words. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, I need to work better. I need to put out more content. I need to grow the channel. So when that email came in the beginning, of October, like I was just like, this is it, like, oh my God, I can't believe this. It almost feels like validation, for everything I've done here. Not saying like I always try to put Microsoft in the best light, because I'll be honest with you guys, there was a time Xbox wanted nothing to do with me. There was times where Xbox executives wouldn't talk to me, who had followed me previously on social media, and because of something I said in a video, were told by PR to unfollow me. Like, I was considered a bad apple because of my critiques on Crackdown 3, Even you were a little bit worried, Jez, when all that happened, if I recall correctly, right?
Well, it was the truth.
Yeah.
So, like,
at the end of the day,
at the end of the day, you got to say the truth. But like at the same time, when you're a certain size, you can say the truth and you can get away with it. But when you're smaller, if you say the truth, you can get blacklisted.
Yeah.
So Microsoft don't do blacklisting.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Do they?
You notice a certain individual out there didn't get a console.
Well, they blacklist when it negatively affects their staff on a personal level.
True.
So if you write an article that attacks an individual and damages their life in some way, then yeah, you're going to get blacklisted, and you probably deserve to be blacklisted, frankly. But if you attack the company, they're not going to blacklist you.
Yeah. So but basically what I'm trying to say is, like, people will say, oh, damage control. I've never damage control for Xbox. I always do try to look on the positive aspects of what they're doing, and I think they're going to kill it this generation. But on the flip side, like, I've always been critical about Xboxes and, like, what they've been doing and their lack of investment in first party, and Xbox has no games, and I've really kind of gone at the fact that the launch lineup for Series X is not good, especially when it comes to first party. Like, I will definitely deal criticism when it's warranted, but I always kind of more look at, like, the positive aspect of what they're doing rather than the negative aspect, because I don't want to be negative all the time about stuff. It's boring to listen to, and it just kind of infects you as a person. Like, if you're always just got to be negative about everything. Like, I don't want to be one of those channels that's basically like, there are some PlayStation channels out there that aren't really pro PlayStation. They just are anti-Xbox. It's so weird,
yeah.
and I don't want to do that. So, yeah, like, thank you guys. You're the reason I got the system. And yes, like, I know the beginning intro was cringe. It was supposed to be, I mean, clearly, like, the box was already open. I'd known for a while that I was getting the Series X. I just didn't really know how to intro the video. But it is a big box, and the Series X is a big boy. I thought it would be heavier than what it was, and I'm not saying it's not heavy, because it is heavy. Like, it's a heavy system.
5 kilograms, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know the exact weight, and it does have
5.2 kilograms or something.
It does have heft to it. I just thought it would be a little bit heavier. It's like it's smaller in person too when you actually see it. Like, when the original kind of reveal had it as like a monolithic tower. I mean, it's tall, but like, it's not as tall as you would imagine in the pictures. And like, the unboxing experience is very premium. Like, I was very impressed when you unbox it and you see it kind of the Series X is sitting in the middle, supported by the styrofoam, as if someone's on hands and knees holding it up to you, where you can just kind of grab it. Like, in my mind, I was thinking like King Arthur and the Sword in the Stone, how like or a knight like on his knees holding up the sword to somebody and the person grabs it. That's kind of like the presentation that like I felt when I opened up the box. Like, Microsoft was presenting the most powerful console. Here, take it, and then you grab it. Like, the presentation, Microsoft really went all out on.
They did.
Did you get a retail box too, or was just a preview? Like, how did that work for you?
I've still got my preview unit that got updated, so like my unboxing experience is slightly different to yours, I think. Does yours have Halo on the back?
Yes, it does. It has Halo, which is very
okay.
Unfortunate.
So some of the new boxes don't have Halo on the back.
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting. It's very interesting.
I could be wrong about that actually, but I think so. I have seen boxes that don't have Halo on the back, but yeah, my unboxing experience is the same as yours. It was like, you know, I've unboxed a lot of tech over the years, like headphones, laptops, and all sorts of stuff. But this was like, it's almost like it's almost cringy to talk about unboxing experiences because there's like it's such a meme on like YouTubers doing the first unboxing, but people love that stuff for whatever reason. But this was it was just cool the way it's laid out, you know,
Very
like
cool.
opening diagonally, so almost like a chest or like opening the Ark of the Covenant or something like that.
I
It's a
I
nice
like that
touch,
analogy, the Ark of the Covenant. I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's like I actually got that. I stole that from Colt because Colt did the whole like shining effects on
Dude,
his
Colt's so
unboxing.
awesome when he like I don't even think of half the things he does when he makes his videos. He's like the green
He's a
glow.
creative guy.
Like I was so happy for Colt and Dealer for them to also get the Series X early. Like obviously I knew like I think we all got the email at the exact same time, and I'm very happy for both of those guys. And you know, Colt and Dealer make incredible videos. They spend so much time working on them. Like I think one of Colt's last videos, he spent like 6 hours working on it. And I don't nearly spend as much time working on my videos as I probably should. Like my last video took about 2.5 hours.
For my blood.
But it's amazing to see like Microsoft, you know, spread around the love. And I even saw a lot of smaller content creators like channels with like 1,000 subs or 3,000. You know, like a lot of different types of content creators. Didn't matter the color, like, you know, white people, black people, you know, Latinos, women, men. Like there was very diverse set of people that got the console, which is great. So, but I'm interested though because you also got the Series S, right? Because I didn't get the Series S. Not that I'm complaining. The Series X is more than enough for me. Did you get to unbox the Series S as well?
I do have a Series S. Can't talk about it.
Okay.
Matt Brown did our unboxing video of both the X and the S. I can't talk about it.
Okay, you can't talk about it. Fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
can't talk about it. As far as I know, I don't read the emails, man. I should read the emails.
You should, because I read it. I've read them like 10 times to make sure I can't. You know, it's like, oh, I need. You know, like what cannot say and stuff. And
I get 500 emails a day. I literally physically can't read.
You know what I'm getting a ton of emails of lately, and this is a YouTuber thing: paid sponsorships. You know,
Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends keeps on hitting me up. I've gotten like VPN stuff, other things, and trust me, it's tempting because they're coming in there with a high money offer, and it's just like, you know, I've thought about doing it. You know, maybe I should ask the people in the chat, like, how would you feel if a video here or there was sponsored by something? But like, I don't know, like. It's just it's a weird thing because like a couple years ago I wasn't getting anything, and now every single day I wake up to so many emails from so many different companies wanting them to give me something. Like I got an email from the other day from a clothing company that says they really enjoy my videos, which you know is a lie. It's like, we really enjoy Randall Thor 19 videos, and we feel it fits our target audience. I'm like, you don't watch my videos, bruh. You know, and they were like, we want to give you some clothes, and if you want to shout us out on your videos, we'll pay you. I think it was like $300 for like a paragraph shout out. And it was just like $300. And this is like, oh man, times are tough, but like, does anybody want to hear me talk about like clothing? Like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? I get that stuff all the time where like someone wants to send me a controller or any of this stuff, but it is what it is. What about the new controller, Jez? Because that's the other part. Like, yeah, it has the HDMI 2.1 thing, which you need for the high bandwidth, like the 4K 120 frames, which I also should mention. Bought a new TV if you guys didn't see it on Twitter. And yes, I did plan it to arrive at the same time as the console, the Xbox Series X. I bought the LG 65-inch CX OLED after my amazing experience with the 55-inch B8. I wanted to be kind of fully prepared for this gen, and the CX is basically rated as like the best gaming TV. It's got really low latency in game mode. And it's got variable refresh rate, which you know, helps get rid of like screen tearing and stuff. But the main reason I got it was because of the the HDMI 2.1 port. Like all 4 HDMI ports on the TV support 4K up to 120 frames. So, I figured I wanted to get a TV that at least was going to, last most of the generation. I could take full advantage of all the feature sets that both PlayStation 5 and Series X has. And I'm glad I went with the 65-inch because I was debating with myself to get a 55-inch CX because I had the 55-inch B8 and I love it. Like, I absolutely 100% love it, love it, love it, right? Best purchase I've made in a long time. Please, if you guys are on the fence about a TV, if you haven't gotten not all 4K TVs are made the same. Trust me on this. Like, and you can probably speak to that too, right, Jez?
Yeah, for sure. I've got the Q80T 43-inch right now. I physically don't have room for a bigger TV where I am living right now. So, and I hate it. I've got the Q60R last gen QLED, and it's better than this. So do your TV research before you buy a TV. Because like Ran says, not all TVs are made equal. But a lot of the smaller size TVs, they just don't support what you need. I think the LG CX, it starts at 48-inch when it supports all the features. Mm-hmm. So size is an issue in Northern Britain because our rooms just ain't that big. They were designed for the olden times back in the day. I think.
Right.
People were smaller back then. They were physically smaller.
So I bought the 65-inch, and trust me, I was like, okay, I'll get the extra 10 inches. And it was like $2,200, and it was on sale from $2,800. It's expensive TV, so I was like, all right, it's $600 off. I'll get it, right? And when I got the TV, like, you don't really know how big 10-inch difference is. That's what she said. Until you see this 55-inch next to the 65-inch. Let me tell you, like, it is a massive difference. I can't believe how much bigger this TV is compared to the 55-inch. It's to the point where, like, I had to move my chair back about a foot so I wouldn't get, like, eye strain when I was looking at the TV so I could see everything. And the image it puts out is, oh my God, it's absolutely incredible. Like, and then 2 weeks later, Amazon drops the price from $2,200 to $1,800. So I was like, what? Because like right now you can get the 65-inch for $1,800 or the 55-inch for I think $1,400 on Amazon. And if you guys are waiting, don't wait. Like, those are pretty damn cheap TVs. Get the 65-inch if you can afford it. You'll be good for years and years and years. And so I tried calling up Amazon. And I was trying to see if I could get the $400 price difference refunded, and they basically told me no. Although what the lady did say, what I could do was return the TV I bought, and they would refund me the money, and then buy the TV again for $1,800. But it's like, weird. But it's like, man, that would be such a hassle to get the TV boxed up again and somehow deliver it back to Amazon, and just to then buy it again and get it delivered again. So yeah, people say I don't know about buying a TV on Amazon. Like, I bought both TVs on Amazon and they're great experiences. They both arrived undamaged and everything was great, so I can't complain. But I understand, like, some people just want to go to the store and then bring it home. But, like, the box is huge. So I was like, yeah, I can't get the refund for $400. But yeah, I got the TV and the Series X at the same time. And it's just like, oh, man. I know $400 is a lot of money, but I don't know. $400, I don't even have the box anymore because I threw it out. So I'm not even sure how I would box it back up to refund it. So, yeah. Oh man, it is pretty awesome to have that TV hooked up with the Series X. And I'm not even sure I can say what the games look like on the TV because that'd be part of the embargo. But Yeah, like that's the thing. Like so many things you can and
You
can't
say
say.
a random woo. Is
Whew.
that break embargo?
I don't
Say
know. I
woo.
don't know. So yeah, guys, get an OLED, get the CX. If you're in the market for a brand new TV, you won't be disappointed with it. You can play all the games at 120 hertz. It does support that, and HDR looks mind blowing. When because HDR is one of those things where sometimes it depends on the game. Like Sea of Thieves' HDR implementation is ridiculously good. I think it might be the best game, or not. I think the implementation for that game might be the best I've ever seen. But then you get other games where the implementation of HDR just isn't really anything to sneeze at, and you're like, oh, well, why does this even have HDR? But man, Sea of Thieves HDR is ridiculous. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about this RDNA 2 stuff in a minute. So make sure you hit the like button. We got a whole bunch of people in here, like 1,700. Share this video out. But I'm gonna read through some of the super chats before we get to this RDNA 2 stuff, because Jez does have some things to say about it. We got Gunstar saying, did Jez just say he was rubbing off on Rand? Joe Wolf says, do you know if this Elite controller is configurable on Series X and S? And
Yes, it is.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm using my I'm using the controller that came with the system, and I gotta say the share button's pretty cool. Have you been using that as much, Jez? The new controller?
I still use the Elite controller mainly. So, but I do kind of. I binded two of my paddles to do the same thing, and I've been using that for ages now. So, kind of yes.
Kind of yes.
Again,
Yeah.
but it should have been there from
It should have been
ages ago.
I mean,
really.
Nintendo
Yeah.
and PlayStation had it. Yeah.
It's just kind of fixing an old problem.
It's kind of thank you, Microsoft, for getting with the times. You know. Tom says, is anything known of the Crossfire X campaign by Remedy? Anyone know the release date? I was supposed to be this year, but it's what, October 30th, and we haven't seen anything. I don't really think Crossfire X is coming out this year. Do you, Jez?
I don't think so.
Yeah. And I think the campaign's supposed to be tied to their battle pass or something. I saw something weird. Nathan Drake says here your message is deleted, but I think it was something along the lines of PlayStation 5 will play games better than Series X. That's just a fact. We'll see about that, buddy. We'll see. Thanks for the money though. Tony Talupa says, what are your thoughts on the true next-gen PlayStation 5 controller impressions? Seen Jez tweeting about it. Is Xbox not innovating its controller enough? I did see people's impressions about the PlayStation 5 controller, and everybody seems really impressed with haptic feedback and all the features that the controller has. My concern has always been very much like Microsoft's Rumble features in the Xbox One controller, where the games at launch will support it because they kind of have to, but will third-party developers still support the PlayStation 5 controller features in 2 to 3 years from now? Or will they just not do it because, well, Xbox doesn't have it and PC doesn't have it, so we're not going to... that's my concern. What I didn't talk to you about this, Jez. What do you think about the PS5 controller stuff?
Well, I do think it's undeniable that Sony's innovating its controller, in ways that Microsoft isn't. More tools for devs is a good thing. And those resistive triggers are really cool and interesting. Like, I can think of ways there's a million ways you could implement that in a game and it'd be awesome. Like, some of the examples they've given a tension on a bowstring and stuff like that. So that was cool. But like we've seen with the stereoscopic haptics on the Xbox controller triggers, devs oftentimes don't use them if they're not pervasive across the ecosystem. But on the other hand, Sony has a much larger install base. But on the other hand, Xbox controllers are the de facto controller for Windows 10 PC, which is a pretty big install base. Microsoft sells a lot of controllers, just because most PC games default to the Microsoft drivers for gamepads. Just the way it is. But a lot of them don't use the stereoscopic haptics in the triggers because, I don't know, extra work or something. So it depends whether or not they're exciting enough that the industry adopts them at large. I think there's a good chance many devs will use them because, like, for example, Ubisoft do use the Xbox Rumble triggers, which is cool, but not in all of their games, but a lot of their games. It's inconsistent support. Even Microsoft's support for those triggers is pretty inconsistent. So you just have to wait and see. I would like to see them used though, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Microsoft rip it off too, so it can become a standard.
I mean, if it becomes the standard, then they're gonna have to for whatever controller they make next. It's just It's kind of like with the share button and the controller.
The issue for a game dev that's making a multi-platform game for PC is how do you simulate that trigger pull with a mouse click? You just can't do it. So a lot of them would just be like, if I'm making a game for PC, they might just be like, well, we won't bother including this because it'll be a feature that a lot of gamers won't get to experience if they're playing it with a mouse and keyboard. But you never know. Maybe they'll ask Microsoft to bake it in so it can become a standard. Maybe Nintendo will jump on board. I don't know. But I think it's a really cool innovation that Sony deserves credit for.
Yeah. Trippy Panda says, could you maybe test out Fallout 76? Before bashing it for its bad history, the game has improved a lot and is in a much better state than it was. Been having tons of fun. I have seen people say that lately, that the updates for the game has kind of turned it around. The game's much better than it was.
I actually have been playing Fallout 76 a bit on the Series X. And I think I did mention it in the... Did I mention it in the preview?
I think you've mentioned it in previous shows, yeah. Yeah,
I have played it on the Series X, and I did mention it in previous shows during the Xbox Series X preview NDA embargo. So, but again, it's like, am I allowed to talk about that now? I don't even know. But the gameplay, just talking about the gameplay, it has gotten more interesting. But it's not easy to get back into for a returning player though. Like I had no idea what I was doing, and the game was like, oh, by the way, you can do a dungeon now. So I went into a dungeon and I just got one-shotted by everything. So their returning player experience maybe needs some work, but it does feel like there's a lot more to do. So I'm gonna give that another go sometime. I might just make a new character instead.
Yeah.
And it's not like I had any good gear or anything.
9 Lives sends a sticker with a kind of a cool glasses look on it. Thank you for the support. Shane, I can't see your message. It was deleted. Thank you. Free Jack says, free Xbox. Marketing money well spent. Kudos to all the positive voices in the gaming community. KS Might says, take the sponsorships. Only those that you would use. Sin Vendetta says, it's because of those ads on YouTube videos of Raid Shadow Legends is the reason I don't download and play Raid Shadow Legends. There are a lot of them. Faye says, when will you start doing reviews again, and what is your game of the year so far? Reviews will probably start again with this new generation. I just kind of stopped doing them because I just didn't really care that much, but I think I'll do a lot more reviews going forward. My current game of the year is Ghost of Tsushima. I love that game. For me, it's like Ghost, and then it's Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And it probably would have been Ori if it launched. If I got to play it at the state it probably isn't right now. So, but it's Ghost and Ori 1 and 2 for me. Relish GT says, get all the money from the sponsors. Mike says, my Series X was provided by Raid Shadow Legends. Play from hundreds of characters and choose your skill level. Win with Raid Shadow Legends.
Do you realize every time we talk about this Raid Shadow Legends meme, we're giving them free advertising should be paying us for.
They should.
So, yeah. Here's up, Raid Shadow Legends. We want money. Lots of it.
Steven says, is Gears 5 the best lynching launch game, including PS5? Gears 5 looks great. I mean, it even looked great in 2019. I can't say how it looks on the Series X though. Not yet. Showen says,
if you've watched the video of Watch Dogs Legion, which Ubisoft put out today, that could end up being the real launch title that showcases the power of the system.
That Watch Dogs Legion video looked really good.
Yeah, but we haven't tried that yet, so it's not even like we can talk about it.
Yeah,
we couldn't talk about it even if we wanted to, because testers don't have access to it.
Showen says Costco's doing $1,800 with 3-year warranty and EGC $100 Hulu. Yeah, I did see they got a pretty ridiculous offer for the CX. BR7 Brad says, hey guys, me and the team at Xbox News and Twitter love the show. Keep killing it. Thank you. The Xbox News Twitter account always has got great information, and they have those great graphics. I like checking out the account to see what someone says. So keep up the great work you're doing there on Twitter. Yosemite Blam says, I upgraded to a 55-inch CX from an entry-level 43 LG 4K set. The difference is staggering. Amazing purchase. Can't wait to watch The Mandalorian on it as well. Like, that's the thing. Like, you don't understand the difference. Like, I had a 4K TV, like a Samsung 4K, and I was like, hey, this looks pretty good. And I remember dealer telling me, you ain't seen nothing. So I got the 55-inch and was completely blown away. It's like Yosemite says, the difference is legit staggering between a proper 4K set. And the difference between the 55-inch to 65-inch is incredible, too. Like, the extra 10 inches goes, like she said, goes a long way, man. Like, it's so like, get a new TV. Like, if you as King David says on the Iron Lords podcast, ditch your TCL sets. They ain't doing you very good. Get one of these OLEDs, man.
I might have to like rearrange everything and see if I can get a 48-inch in here, because you're making me jelly, man. You're making me salty.
Faisal says, as the Connect we researches in robotics and medical engineering, we use it a lot. I see the same scenario for the new PS5 controller. And Bravo D3 says, could Xbox add the dual shock features into Elite 3 mid-gen to split the difference and give the option? They have patents for similar tech. I don't think they would do that.
That's a bad idea. That is a bad idea, and I'll tell you why. The Elite controller is a niche controller that not many people have. If you want to standardize a new paradigm in controlling, that has to go out to everyone. Everyone needs to get their hands on that. So putting it just in the Elite controller is not the right way of doing it.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about full RDNA 2. So Microsoft, AMD had a press conference yesterday, I think it was, or 2 days ago at this point now. Microsoft put out a tweet that basically said, hey, the Series X and S are the only two next-gen consoles that have full RDNA 2 features or integration, obviously implying that the PS5 doesn't. And then they went on to kind of talk about what DirectX ray tracing is, and sampler feedback, and mesh shaders, and variable rate shading, which I have no clue what any of that stuff was. I had to read it from the page. And, they're very proud. They're like shouting from the rooftops. We waited to make sure that all the whole features of RDNA 2 were in our system. And I said in my video, like, I'm not a tech guy. I don't know what any of this stuff means. And I said basically that we don't know if Sony has comparable things to mesh shading or variable refresh rate. We don't know if those custom variants will be better or worse. I don't even know if any of these things actually even matter, because like I said, I'm not a tech guy. So I really can't speak on it. I wish Dealer or Colt were here, or to talk more about it. But you have some insight on it, those Jez, right?
I mean, I have insight insofar as that I've asked people like Colt and Dealer and developers for some information on what all this stuff means, because like you, I'm not a tech guy. I'm not going to pretend I know what a mesh shader is. It's basically like the fidelity of how many, shaders it can calculate or something, and, reducing the load on the processor and how much it can do and stuff like that. I don't know the full details. What I do know is that, at the end of the day, all the features that Sony doesn't have in this package, or supposedly doesn't have, I should say, they're going to have APIs for. So Sony's going to have their own API for ray tracing. They're going to have their own solutions for a lot of this stuff. And for AMD and Microsoft to come out and say, oh, RDNA 2 is better than whatever Sony's doing, is totally premature. It is so presumptuous. And it could bite them in the ass, If it turns out that Sony's proprietary APIs maybe they're even better. Maybe they can do more with less. Microsoft doesn't know, and AMD doesn't know. And for them to come out and claim that's a big victory, I think is way, way premature. I think like I would be risky. I would not take that risk, personally. But they obviously, supposedly, know better than me about what all that stuff means, and maybe they do think that they've got an edge over Sony in this case. But I think pushing that narrative that full RDNA 2 is going to result in better stuff is premature. and I think they should just wait to prove it. You know, like it looks great in a blog post, it looks great in a YouTube headline, it looks great in a tweet, but where's the evidence, man? Where's the proof? Where's the pudding? It ain't there, man. Where's the proof? I ain't seen any proof.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how any of this tech stuff is gonna work. I mean, I think for the majority of games, I think Xbox will probably perform a little bit better. But even you can't even say all of them, because we've seen scenarios where on the One X where didn't work as good. Like Modern Warfare, like ran worse on this One X than the PS4 Pro, because the PS4 Pro ran it at a lower resolution. And I've always said I'd rather they focus on like frame rates and stuff. So I just don't know what to make of the full art. Like Microsoft seems very, very happy that they're the only systems that have it. I guess only time will tell if all those things will, turn out for the better for the Series X. Like maybe this scenario where 2 to 3 years from now, those tools are really mature on the Xbox side, and because of it, the games look and perform better than they do on PlayStation, or maybe the gap between the power levels really kind of shows itself. I don't even really know. And that's why I rarely ever talk about tech on this channel, because I don't want to pull the wool over people's eyes and pretend to be something I'm not.
Well, that's why I'm saying Microsoft should have waited. I don't think. I mean, I respect what they're trying to do, right? What they're trying to do with this is trying to bridge PC and Xbox game development to make it easier for developers to have a common set of APIs across both systems. We talked about this in the past with GameCore and stuff like that. But on the flip side, waiting for RDNA 2 to be fully integrated with DX12 Ultimate or whatever, that is left us with a scenario where, at least from what I'm hearing, the developer tools are not mature, which is why Devil May Cry ray tracing solution or whatever is later, and why we don't have we're not gonna have Watch Dogs Legion until launch day and stuff like that. And I don't know the full details about what some of this stuff means, because, like you say, it's super highly technical. But I just think when you're in Microsoft's position, a company that is under some intense scrutiny over the quality and consistency of its ability to deliver photorealistic AAA games, I don't think you should be there shouting from the rooftops about how great your tech is until you can prove it. And they ain't giving us any proof, we don't even know if Watch Dogs Legion is running on DX12 Ultimate, or if it's not some proprietary solution. I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know if it's DX12 Ultimate, and Ubisoft certainly didn't mention DX12 Ultimate in their video, I don't think. So is that even Microsoft's solution they're talking about there when they're talking about Watch Dogs Legion having ray tracing?
Well, wouldn't that be AMD's solution? Isn't that an AMD thing?
Well, I have no idea. It's like I said.
I mean, they talk about how it's a partnership between them and AMD. So
yeah,
the co-developed, I guess, would be the right way to say it.
Yeah, I just literally have no idea.
Maybe someone should reach out to Ubisoft PR and find out.
You mean like me?
Like you
did hours ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I messaged Ubisoft PR and asked them basically, is this DX12 Ultimate ray tracing or something, some other, middleware or something? I don't know, or is it something you've developed or something? Because I literally have no idea. And the thing is, all this stuff sounds great in a blog post, but Microsoft it doesn't distract from the fact that Microsoft still isn't delivering photorealistic games, and it hasn't really done it for launch with the Series X. Yeah, we got Gears 5, but we had Gears 5 last year. When you buy a new graphics card, do you play an old game that you've already played, or do you go and play something new? Mm-hmm. I tend to go and play something new.
Yeah, but judging from some of the videos I see on YouTube, a lot of people play old games with their 3080s on the PC.
Play Minecraft.
Yeah.
I play Minecraft.
I got a 3080.
Minecraft and Among Us.
I got a 3090, and the first game I'm playing is Among Us. I've seen that, man. I've seen that. Shout out to Ash and Luca with the super chats. She says gents with the 2 eyes and mouth emoji. How you doing, Luca? Luca said she was going to come over and get a little sneak peek at the Series X, because she only lives 20 minutes away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You guys could, hang out.
Could. Yeah. Luca's too good for me, though,
Yeah.
So
I thought Luca changed the name to the anime Luca.
she
That's what
should.
I'd heard.
She's also going to be a PlayStation. With Sony potentially buying Crunchyroll, she's going to be on PlayStation all
All
the
right.
time for all that anime, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. So that's the stuff about full RDNA 2. I'm sure maybe Dealer or somebody else will talk more about it in the future. But I want to
I
talk.
mean, the thing is like math. Just to close it off, mathematically, just speaking mathematically, Microsoft has a power game, and I don't think there's any API that can offset the disparity, the delta between the two consoles on paper. You can have YouTubers making all these theories and stuff, but the spec sheet don't lie. And for Sony to offset that delta, they'd have to do some serious black magic with their software. But we don't know. Maybe they will do some black magic. Maybe there is some like super duper magic software algorithm that they've got patented to death that just cannot be emulated by Microsoft that will give them some kind of power advantage. We just don't know. And until like we get lots of games compared properly on Digital Foundry, we're going to continue to not know. And to be fair, it's on Microsoft to prove that, and they haven't so far. So I would just say, for those doing victory laps and stuff on Twitter about RDNA 2 being a big deal, like I would wait until until you've got Digital Foundry's analysis, because it might not work out as you think it will.
Yeah, it couldn't. So let's see. What are we talking about next? Oh, Todd Howard in this quote, because I got sent this to me so many times yesterday, and it's a very good example of selective quoting to kind of push a narrative that you want, right? Yeah. So Todd Howard talked a little bit about what next gen is going to bring and all that stuff, and he was obviously eventually asked about exclusivity and what it means for Microsoft, and he was, he said some things about it, but I saw like GameSpot and IGN run this like quote where it said Todd Howard says, quote, he can't see Elder Scrolls 6 as an Xbox exclusive, right? And you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe Elder Scrolls might be on PlayStation, maybe it might be on the Switch, like. Okay, is that what he said? But then when you read the article, the quote is literally, I would agree that it is hard to imagine. So I was like, wait a minute. So like the actual quote is, I would agree, because the author was like, oh, and it's pretty difficult to imagine Elder Scrolls 6 being exclusive, blah, 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 blah. And Todd Howard replied with, quote, I would agree that it is hard to imagine. But then you see the articles and how they're presented on IGN and GameSpot, and it's like, quote, he can't see Elder Scrolls 6 as an exclusive, quote. But that's not what he said. Like, how do these websites get away with quoting somebody like they actually said something when it's not what they said? Jez, explain this to me. You're in the media. Like, what's going on here?
I'm in the games media, baby. I'm in the specialist tech media. We are completely different. Mm-hmm. I don't have to clickbait to make money. Unfortunately, a lot of the games media do have to clickbait to make money, apparently. And this is a prime example of someone spinning the fragment of a quote to push a narrative. And unfortunately, I think for a lot of people who are hoping this turns out to be true, it's not going to be turned out to be true. And it's just utterly irresponsible handling from these people. But what can you do? It's like I said earlier, we live in a dichotomy between fairy tales and facts and reality. And unfortunately, the factual quote didn't make for such a divisive headline. A lot of these outlets are hoping that these games will be multi-platform because they don't like giving Xbox games a fair shake, in my opinion. A lot of the time, maybe, possibly. And for the idea that they'd have to either play this game on their PC or on an Xbox console is spooky to some people.
Spook.
But as we've ascertained on previous shows, I am pretty confident that is how it's going to go down. And if you listen to Phil Spencer's quotes previously, he also said that he doesn't need to sell those games on PlayStation to make the money back. And that's not even the name of the game. So, to paraphrase. So the thing is, both companies are being pretty vague about it because right now the deal isn't even finalized. So you can't just you can't go out here and just say for certain those games are going to be definitely exclusive because nobody's got a crystal ball. Nobody knows, for example, if there even will be a world next year. What if the apocalypse happens? What if there's a meteor strike?
It'll happen right before Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh my god, can you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but anyway, they can't say with any certainty that XYZ is going to be the case. Like, if you look at the interview, he talks about access to games. If you look at what Phil Spencer's been saying, he talks about access to games, and when they're talking about access to games, they're talking about xCloud, they're talking about
PC.
PC, they're talking about like apps on your TV for God's sake and web browsers, and nobody's gonna not be able to play Elder Scrolls 6. They'll be able to play it on something they own. Like, you own a platform that game will run. It just might not be the platform that you want it to be on, but you will own a platform that'll be on. That's just my belief. I don't have a crystal ball either, but it's like I said before, I will take that L if it turns out to be inaccurate, but I don't think it is.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people kind of agree with Todd, where it is hard to imagine a game as big as Elder Scrolls being an exclusive. Like, I get where he says that because you can clearly see it in some of the media and some of the fans who don't want for that game to be exclusive, who says they can't do it because the talk was, oh, they have to have it on PlayStation because they need to make their money. Right, so like Todd's saying, I would agree that it is hard to imagine. It is pretty hard because that's one of the biggest games in the world. So it being exclusive to Xbox is difficult. But he also literally talks about right before that how they've always kind of partnered with Microsoft on exclusive stuff. Like Morrowind was a console exclusive, Oblivion was a timed exclusive, and like DLCs for I think there was an Oblivion or Skyrim were timed exclusive too. He mentions how they always they always do partner up with Microsoft, and there's always some sort of exclusivity. And essentially, like, this is just an even bigger partnership. And he even mentioned he doesn't even really know what Elder Scrolls is at this point because that game's probably way off. So, it's, I don't know. Like, I definitely saw, like, people talk about biases in the press, right? And I don't necessarily think websites have biases. I do think, people have preferences, right? But there's...
That is biased.
Sure.
That is technically biased.
Sure. Okay, fine. But, like, I just... I can't believe how those websites presented his quote. Like...
It was really bad the way that went down. And, like, the thing is, like, everyone has bias, and that's fine because they're human. But the thing is, when my bias, I write for a website that only covers Microsoft. I don't care what Sony are doing. I don't have time to care what Sony are doing. Like when I see some of the fragments of the stuff they're doing, like the triggers and stuff, I'll praise it because it's awesome, and if I think it's awesome anyway. But obviously I have like I have a deeper knowledge about what Microsoft is doing, and people often think that means I'm biased in favor of Microsoft. Truth is, I think I have less bias than the multi-platform websites because you do not know which platform a multi-platform website is favoring. But with things like this, expose it. That is, whoever wrote that is someone who is hoping for a specific outcome. They didn't read the actual quote. They took it out of context to create a narrative that leads to their desired outcome, which is, it's just a bit shitty of a thing to do.
Yeah, it's just
I haven't wrote a single article about that exclusivity thing because I don't have any facts about it yet. I've only spoken about it here on the podcast because, this is like our personal thoughts and feelings. But I haven't written a single article about whether those games are going to be exclusive.
Yeah, there's a big.
I don't have a fact.
There's a big difference in he can't see Elder Scrolls 6 as an Xbox exclusive versus I would agree that it is hard to imagine. Like, how many words were like he never mentioned Elder Scrolls 6 as like or Xbox exclusive in the quote, but they present it as the actual quote. And a lot of people, and I know this for a fact, based on my own YouTube, like career or whatever, that people rarely see the headline and they rarely dig into the meat and potatoes of the article, right? So someone sees my video from yesterday and I called it Unbelievable Xbox Series X Huge Advantage over PS5 question mark, right? And there were comments in there being like, didn't really watch the video and see what I had to say about it, right? I mean, hell, I don't know how many times people ask about like, there was something that we covered recently about the studio acquisitions that our buddy Mediocre Ed from Xbox Era was involved in with Tom Warren. Remember how he supposedly said that Microsoft saved the best for last, but then you actually go and listen to the interview. The words were never said, and people saw that article that said, oh, they saved the best for last, and they go around talking about it like it's true. Like, I have so many people come to me, like, even last night in the party, I was talking to Titan Drago, and Titan Drago was like, yeah, they're saving the best for last. And me and Colt were just like, bro, that was never said. That's bull. But imagine that on the bigger scale. Like you said, we're in this fact news cycle. So, like, people see that and they think Todd Howard literally said that quote when the quote was nothing even close to it. It's gotten really, really bad out there. Like, absolutely horrible.
It's gonna get worse when let's say if what I predict is true and Bethesda's games go exclusive to Xbox Game Pass platforms, Xbox web browser, phone, PC, whatever. If what I predict is true comes to pass, we're going to see a wave of despair from a lot of these outlets. And they're going to be like, why Microsoft is evil, why exclusives are bad. While they were completely silent about Final Fantasy VII Remake, they're completely silent about all these, Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn, and all these other games which have like these timed exclusivity deals arbitrarily because of money. Not because Sony helped them with development or Sony provided tools or they're doing something proprietary to PlayStation. It's just because of money. And it's fine. If that's it's business, it's capitalism, baby. I'm a capitalist. I believe in that stuff in my heart. And if that's how Sony wants to run its business, then fine. But call it what it is, and be consistent and keep the same energy for both platforms. And you called out Microsoft for having weak exclusives. We all did. Yes. And now they've gone and started splashing the cash. You've got to keep that same energy. A lot of the studios Sony purchased, a lot of the studios Sony nurtured were not originally Sony studios.
Well, that's the thing. They were purchased. Jim Ryan, kind of, in his talk about VR and how he doesn't think, VR is not going to be big next year, or the year after, or whatever. And people are wondering, well, when's VR is going to be a thing? But he mentioned also in that interview that they've grown their studios organically rather than via spending sprees, almost kind of taking a shot at Microsoft buying the 7 studios in 2018 and then the Bethesda purchased. And Jim obviously needs to present his side as best as he can, right? And I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, Sony's built their studios and nurtured those studios over courses of generations to be where they're at. I mean, Naughty Dog's one of the best studios in, the video game industry, even if Last of Us 2 story was poo, right? I mean, there's no denying. I
haven't played it yet.
But there's no denying the talent at Naughty Dog. And to see like Sucker Punch grow from what from like the Sly Cooper games into Game of the Year, Ghost of Tsushima, and what they've done with that, and Guerrilla Games from like I forget what they make, Shell Shock Nam or some game back in the day, and then Sony bought them, and it's like you got the Killzone games, and then they go to Horizon, right? Like clearly, like Sony's nurtured their studios, grown them organically, and they're very proud of that, as they should be, and that's something Xbox is trying. Like, you look at Rare, they've grown. You look at Compulsion, they've growing. Obsidian, like all the Xbox studios are growing organically. It's that Microsoft also needs other studios, and they're going to go out and purchase them. But like, I kind of look at Jim's quote, and I just like, you bought Insomniac, you bought Naughty Dog, you bought Guerrilla, you bought, I think they bought Ben too. Like, almost half of the studios that you have, as good as they are, were all purchased at some point. Like, yeah, you've grown them organically, but let's not like let's not like lie about it and say that you didn't buy all these studios. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. It's like I said earlier, like I don't follow Sony that much because it's not my job to do so. But every time Jim Ryan comes up, the guy just seems like dumb. Sean Layden felt like a lot more dynamic than this guy. I don't know. But every time he's in the press, he's saying something dumb. But whatever.
I mean, are you saying he's Don Matrick? Don Matrick 2.0?
Because he comes across like Don Matrick.
I hated Don Matrick. You guys have no idea how much I despise Don Matrick. Like you go to the 360 era, and Peter Moore's in charge, right? And Peter Moore, great businessman. He was in, like, it felt like Xbox was in this great place, and then Don Matrick takes over at like the height when Xbox is doing very well, like after Halo 3 comes out, and it's like, yeah, we're doing great, we're selling all these consoles, and then Kinect happened, and they started pushing Kinect, and there was less of a focus on Microsoft's internal studios, right? And more of a focus on trying to get third-party timed exclusive content. That's where the whole Call of Duty timed content came from, was around that time. And it worked because Xbox was the leader at that point. They were the market leader. But secretly, behind the scene, well, not secretly, like PlayStation was like, we need to build up our own first-party studios. And they did that during the PS3 gen. And then when Microsoft lost that market leadership, that whole business model of relying on third parties and buying the best games or having the best games from third party blew up because they built a system that was underpowered and overpriced. So their whole philosophy was just thrown in the garbage pan, in the garbage dumpster and set on fire. And because they didn't invest in studios and content during the 360 era, and they went less of that, you had this big hole with games on the Xbox One. You only had like 5 first-party studios, so you had to work with outside creators. You had to give them controls of their IP, like Rise, Son of Rome. You had to give them that IP, Crytek. You had to give Insomniac the IP, Sunset Overdrive, to get people to work with you. And then some of that stuff bit them in the ass. Crytek didn't want to work. They couldn't come to an agreement on a sequel for Rise, Part 2. Crackdown 3, the development issues that game had. All that stuff, it just came to a head because of poor management and lack of foresight. I can't stand that guy, and I'm not saying he's he was 100% the decision making, but I just view him as the figurehead for all the poor decision making that Xbox went through towards the end of the 360 era and to the beginning of the Xbox One era. Like those decisions just hamstrung Xbox for almost an entire generation. And it pisses me off to a certain degree, Well,
no, I wasn't following Xbox back then because I was working in IT. But the way you feel about Don Matrick, I feel about Terry Myerson, because he's the guy that kind of screwed the middle of this gen until Phil got on the SLT. Did you see Microsoft's earnings the other day?
I did, yeah.
Did you see the revenue increase from when Terry Myerson was technically the head to when Phil was the head over the last few years?
Yes.
It just shows what happens if you actually have a gamer running the show, what can happen. But there's so much damage. There's still so much damage to repair, man. So much damage.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to repair. And something they need to repair is Halo Infinite. So Chris Lee left. Creative director. Well, I don't know. He was studio head of 343, right? But game director on Halo Infinite, right?
Yeah, he was co-studio head, I think, and then game director for Infinite.
Yeah.
He was co-studio head with Bonnie Ross.
Yeah. Well, I think Bonnie Ross is head of all of 343 Interactive, and Chris Lee was just head of the studio working on Halo Infinite. Isn't that how it works? Like she's head of the company or something like that?
Yeah, but I think he's co-studio head with someone else. I could be completely wrong about that. So many things to keep track of. Yeah. I've got a OneNote with all this in, so I don't have to use my brain.
So essentially, he left, and there's been a wave of concern about Halo Infinite. It got delayed, it didn't look good. We all know the spiel from when they showed it in July. They've kind of there's and I don't, we haven't talked about like the armor shading that had the Halo community in uproar. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
know
yeah,
that
yeah.
we're not even going to mention that because whatever. But Chris Lee's gone, and I've always thought somebody had to pay. Like clearly, I mentioned this in almost all my videos. Halo was supposed to be a launch game. They literally have the entire marketing based around it. It's in the official ad for Power Your Dreams. It's the Taco Bell thing. The toys are already out on store shelves. It's on the back of the freaking box, people. It was literally supposed to be the game, and it's gone. And I always kind of thought, well, somebody's got to pay for this. This is a catastrophe, right? This is a game 5 years in the making, and you couldn't make launch. Granted, I understand COVID, working from home, pandemic, but I mean, Ubisoft got out with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They got out Watch Dogs Legion. Sony is able to get out Miles Morales and Demon Souls.
And to be fair to Ubisoft, Ubisoft had a massive, massive managerial shakeup in the middle of this year, or was it start of the year, with the whole the revelations about bad behavior, and they still managed to get all their games out on time for the most part.
Right.
So
I mean,
yeah,
I understand all about that, and maybe it's for the best. Maybe Chris Lee wasn't very good at his job. Maybe Joseph Staten's coming in there and really fixing a lot of stuff. But personally, I think this Halo needs to be great. Like, there's no questions about it. Halo's too important, too valuable to basically have it mismanaged for all these years. And they need to nail this game. And if not, then there needs to be a change of leadership at 343 from the top down. But you did say you had some kind of other insight on it, because you told me a week before this happened that, yeah, Chris Lee was probably gone. So can you talk about what you've heard about all this stuff?
Well, I really hate this stuff because it's kind of like, it's personal, right? But at the same time, Halo's a franchise that's loved by millions of people, and not only that, but right now it carries the weight of the entire Xbox brand. There's like an insane amount of pressure to get Halo right, and they just have not been delivering. Like, you can talk about the Master Chief Collection, but you could also argue that's correcting a past mistake. And considering how long it's taken, you could even argue further that it's taken so long to fix that mistake. Like, when did that even come out originally? And when it was in a total mess?
What was?
I can't even. Halo Master Chief, like.
Oh, that came out November of 2014.
So no, we're what, 6 years later, still fixing that and bringing it to PC and stuff like that. And it's sold really well, so you can consider that a victory maybe. But at the same time, it's going to have been such a massive drain on 343's resources and stuff like that at a time where they really need to be looking to the future and making, the flagship product for the bloody Xbox brand. And there is no game that carries that responsibility like Halo Infinite, and they screwed it up in the most spectacular way I could possibly imagine. They made it a meme about how ugly it is. It looks like a Lego game. Like I always say, Halo Infinite looks like a Lego game. It does not look like a game I want to play. And if you don't mind the visuals or you like the visuals, then that's fine. I'm just giving my opinion. I think it looks awful. And not only does it look awful, it just looks like Halo. Just looks like Halo again with a grappling hook. Like, I don't know what's supposedly special about this. Why does going open world make it better? Why does having a grappling hook make it better? Doesn't that just fix the traversal problem you've introduced by making it open world? Like, I've got so many questions and no answers about this game, and right now I just feel pretty negatively towards it, and I think a lot of other people do as well. And that's not how you show off the flagship product for your enterprise. And someone had to take a fall, and I'm kind of increasingly agreeing with you that change needs to come from the top down. Like, how can this product have shipped in this state in that launch trailer without any kind of anyone saying slam the brakes on this? It looks like a Lego game. How can that have happened? Like, there was no oversight or something. And one of the things I've heard is that indeed there was no oversight, and that communication has been an issue between the Halo Infinite team and the wider Xbox operation. That's one thing I've heard from a few people, but I haven't put it down in an article because I don't like presenting one side of an argument, you know. But it's for the podcast, you know, it's just one thing I've heard, and it's just like at this point, it's such a mess. And just to go back to the previous topic, it also slams home really hard why Bethesda's games need to go exclusive. Because Halo clearly in this state, in this position that it's in, cannot shoulder the weight of the whole brand. Like you can get Bethesda and Elder Scrolls and Fallout and Doom to do that to some degree if they go exclusive. Because clearly Halo ain't it no more. Halo just isn't it. And they're gonna have to do something spectacular and magical to bring my opinion around from totally negative about that game. Because right now I just like, man, can you imagine like Halo getting away with the amount of delays that Cyberpunk has had? Like it just wouldn't happen, you know. So because Cyberpunk has been really upfront, there's like 40-minute gameplay demos of Cyberpunk, and it looks amazing even months ago. But like all we've got to go on for Halo Infinite right now is that it looks like a Lego game.
I don't
mind. I don't want to be negative, you know. But that's just how I feel.
You just don't like Halo. You've talked about it. I mean, we had the whole debate last time.
How does it not? It looks like a Lego game. If it didn't look like a Lego game, Craig would not have become a meme, man.
I mean, I would agree with you that
because it looks stupid.
That Halo, I'll agree with you that Halo Infinite doesn't look like I thought it could look on the Series X, and I mentioned that in plenty of times, especially with the textureless brutes and the pop-ins and all that stuff. But we've seen games improve from first showing to final showing. I was more impressed with the gameplay. Like as someone who plays Halo, the guns all looked great. The grapple hook, I can imagine a lot of different uses for that. Am I really that excited for an open world campaign? Nah, not really. I always kind of feel like open worlds.
Already done the grappling hook, man. Doom has a shotgun grappling hook that I can rip a demon in half with. Does Halo have that?
No, it doesn't. But Halo's not trying to be Doom. I don't know. Like I understand people's concern with Halo. It's had a lot of turnover. It's a lot of creative directors, and Chris Lee leaves, and people are just like, they take everything together. Like even with the Everwild creative director, who I've never heard of before, leaving. Now there's this like ton of concern about Everwild, and I don't know. Is the guy who left really that important? I mean, or is Louise Connor the one that's really important? I don't really know. I mean, I get people's concerns because they want Halo Infinite to be great. They want it to be a return to form for the franchise. And it seems like most of the news coming out is just not the best. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. And I know some people say, like, stop talking about it, but it's like, I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, like studio head leaves before the game comes out, a couple months after the game gets delayed. I mean, what else are you supposed to make of it, right? Clearly, there was some problems with Halo Infinite development. And I know Jez, you don't like it because the way it looks, and you're more of a Gears guy. So I'm fine with the way it looks because I think it will look better, but.
The thing is because I'm not personally invested in Halo as a franchise. I've never been a huge fan of it. I can sort of the way I look at it is this good from an analytical perspective? Is this good for the Microsoft brand? If I'm like if I put my analyst hat on, does the fact that it looks like a Lego game with a grappling hook, is that good for Xbox Series X? And my gut reaction is no. It became a meme because of how bad it looked. Not because of how exciting it looked. Like, I'm just, man, something has to, if Halo is going to be this pillar franchise that it's supposed to be, something needs to change at that studio. And, and we can talk about COVID and switching to work from home policy. And Microsoft has perhaps one of the most aggressive work from home policies in all of tech. So, we can talk about that stuff, and that's fair enough. But you could also say this game was announced years ago, and we still barely know anything about it. Is this really where we should be at this point in development, even disregarding COVID. So, from an analytical perspective, I think like it'll be good when Microsoft no longer has to put Halo as the pillar game that is, exemplifies the Xbox brand. I already feel like they're positioning Elder Scrolls as that when they talk about like Morrowind being exclusive back in the day, and that Morrowind on Xbox was a lot how a lot of people experienced that franchise for the first time back in the day. So, maybe that can be what Halo becomes, what Halo was supposed to be, as the franchise that everyone looks to for, what represents Xbox. But man, someone needs to take a fall for what's going on with this stuff, and it feels kind of like Chris Lee was sidelined and almost politicked out of his position, because like he didn't resign and he wasn't fired. Like, from what I understand, he was like, his position was made less important by them appointing new roles above him, which couldn't have felt good. And it just sounds like everything was just in a weird situation there. But we shouldn't be talking about that stuff instead of the game. But we've got nothing else to talk about because they haven't shown us anything except a Lego game and Craig meme and some shaders nobody likes. So, man, come on.
Well,
do something. Poke stick meme.
I mean, a lot of people are like, smack Jez, like, hey, he's entitled to his opinion.
I'm sorry, Halo. Guys. I know Xbox fans love Halo, and I like I said, I don't want to be negative, but I'm looking at this from like, imagine I'm a massive PlayStation fanboy, right? And imagine I'm a massive PlayStation fanboy, and the first thing I see is the Craig meme when it comes to Xbox Series X. From a marketing perspective, it's not a good look. And that's the only sort of, that's the way I'm thinking about this right now. Because like I said, I'm not invested in the franchise. So,
I mean, fair enough.
Alas, I don't want to be negative. I really don't. But someone needs to really take a fall, or something needs to change.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's more people. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Bonnie Ross leaves at some point. Like I
said on Twitter, watch this space.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Red Cloud Gamer says, "Hey, love the show and all your content." Well, thank you. Is Microsoft going to leverage xCloud to allow instant access to new purchases with next gen? I hope so.
I have actually heard that is one of the features they're planning. One of the features they're planning is basically you buy a game and you can stream it from xCloud while you're waiting for it to install, kind of. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's like something more down the line, but that is something they're looking at. And also, like, in the future, when Xbox One no longer runs next-gen games, like the cross-gen ends, then you'll be able to use like your Xbox One as a sort of media hub with an
I had that a topic. Oh, like 1 second, because I'll read through the rest of these and then talk about that really quickly. Dragon Force says, "Hey, do you guys think when Game Pass gets 100 million plus members, microtransactions won't be a thing in first-party games, and have the new Call of Duty, FIFA, NBA, 2K day one, and first-party games will have a blank check budget?" I mean, I can't see a scenario where those Call of Duty, FIFA, and NBA are day one. 100 million plus members would probably be way more than Microsoft ever could get, honestly. Like, even Netflix has, 180 million members, and, like, movies and TV shows are, I would say, way bigger, but then people always say the video game industry is bigger than the movie industry. I don't think they'll also get rid of microtransactions either. I think those are here to stay. You look at how popular battle passes are and cosmetic purchases and Apex Legends and, Fortnite. I think people kind of expect that. So I don't think they'll go away even if they get 100 million members. Let's see what else. And Adam says, "We also don't know what deals ZeniMax made before the acquisitions of this company. It's not just Microsoft money, but deals unannounced." Which is
doesn't matter. They can be voided and they can be bought out. It really doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, but then you got to Well, then again, Microsoft. I was gonna say they could do that for Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, but Microsoft doesn't own the company at this point, so they can't really tell them to void those contracts, right?
They wouldn't do that because it'd be bad PR if nothing else.
True.
And also, those games are like new IPs, so they're not as consequential. But like, if I see this often that Sony's already said it's coming to Starfield's coming to PlayStation 5, so that means the contract and the deal is done. But that's not how it works, baby. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Chaos Mice says, Jez, you look like a Lego game. Halo Infinite looked great to me. It's never been a photorealistic game. But there was times back in the day where Halo was a pusher of visuals on consoles.
Man, seriously, like, I say I'm not a Halo fan, but Halo 4 is probably my favorite one, right? Which is going to be weird for a lot of people to hear, because I know it's probably not the most popular with most people. But man, like Cortana and the Chief, and I remember being blown away by the visuals on 360 in that game. I literally remember thinking, and this was before I was a game journalist or anything. I literally remember thinking, man, I can't believe how much juice they got out of the 360. I mean, that's like almost comedy to think of now, but like back then, it really did push the state of the art, you know. And like all those cutscenes looked amazing and all that sort of stuff. And I will dispute the idea that it never tried to be photorealistic, but this is on a whole nother level of stylization. I don't know. They need to do something impressive to pull me back.
And Gunstar says, I love Halo and this hurts.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Lee Robinson says, it doesn't look like a Lego game. I hope fans new to Halo don't rely on Jez's take. Ooh, man, people don't like your Halo take, Jez. That's fine. I'm a huge Halo fan, and I don't mind Jez's take. It's just his opinion on stuff. So, I mean,
my opinion is inconsequential.
Halo isn't going to live or die in Jez's opinion. It's going to live or die based on how good the game plays and how good the multiplayer is. It's not even going to live or die. It's not even going to live or die in how good or bad the game looks. It's going to be strictly how it plays and how much content it has and how good it is. You know? Anyways, about the thing with Xbox One and xCloud, I did notice with Nintendo's last partner direct that Control is now available on the Switch and Hitman 3 is coming, and they're going to be available basically via the cloud. And I was going to ask you if you think that's like what we could expect for the future of Xbox One, where if someone still has the console Xbox One, they could stream Fable via xCloud, and they don't necessarily have to get a brand new console, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's kind of interesting because Nintendo's been working with this specific company to bring AAA games to their console via the cloud, right? So they did Resident Evil, and now they've done Control, and I think they did another one as well.
Well, Hitman 3 is going to be done by the cloud too when that
Hitman 3, right? So, at the time, Resident Evil 7 was not good on the cloud. I played the demo; it sucked. It was laggy. It was unplayable. But that was ages ago. Like, the situation might be different now, and I'll go and give it a go and see how it happens. The thing is, you just can't compete with Microsoft's, data centers. They're literally everywhere. They're talking about putting them underwater. They're talking about shipping data centers into space. Did you see this, Rand?
What?
Microsoft's partnering with SpaceX to put data centers into space.
Oh yeah. And didn't I see somewhere where someone's gonna put something on the moon or something too?
I cannot remember, but I also saw, like, while we're talking about SpaceX says it's not going to follow the laws of Earth when they colonize Mars. Did you see this?
I did not see that. No.
Yeah. So basically, SpaceX is the plot of doom. They're gonna colonize Mars, do illegal experiments, and open a portal to hell. That's literally what they're gonna do. But anyway, I often thought, like, could Microsoft do a deal with Nintendo where they do like a version of Game Pass for, like, Game Pass Ultimate subscribers can play Microsoft games on Nintendo Switch except for Minecraft on the Switch through streaming. I often wondered if that was something Microsoft might be working towards, because that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. They can, like, they don't have to make another tier. They can do it with their own games instead of third-party games. And also it means that they can put games on the Switch that simply wouldn't be able to run otherwise. And also they get, like, a much larger install base. And it's also another reason why you don't get rid of the microtransactions, because say you put Sea of Thieves on the Switch via streaming, then like people can buy like the cosmetics, like the dogs and cats and stuff like that. And then you get more users, you get more rich multiplayer scenarios, better matchmaking, and all that good stuff. And you get fans that you otherwise may never have gotten, like kids who maybe they've only got a Switch, maybe their parents won't buy them a £500 Xbox Series X or whatever, and maybe they're only allowed to have a Nintendo Switch. I know for a fact if I was a parent, they'd get a Nintendo, they'd get a 2D they get a Switch Lite, and that's it. They'd have to be happy with that. So I think that'd be a cool thing for Microsoft and Nintendo to partner on. Will it happen? I don't know. It might not be what Microsoft wants to split the library up and stuff, but I really don't see why not. For me, that makes perfect sense. So, watch that space, I guess.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Cyberpunk delay. We talked about Halo Infinite, Chris Lee leaving. Cyberpunk delay happened as well, which didn't I tell last time it got delayed? I said I think it's going to get delayed again. Pretty sure I did.
Yeah.
Although I did say I thought it would get delayed to 2021, but they're coming in December. And this is after the game went gold, and after the account was like no more delays, and then obviously it gets delayed again. But did you see a lot of the social media posts, basically like wishing death on the developers and stuff? Like,
yeah, the Cyberpunk subreddit has erupted into civil war with half the subreddit saying they'll never buy Cyberpunk, even though we all know they will, and the other half of the subreddit just being like, "Who cares? It's only a month. Give them a break." You know, I'm very firmly in the camp of, if you're upset about this, you probably don't have enough adult problems in your life. Like I was literally relieved when they announced that delay, because it means I can actually catch up on other work I've got to do. But you know, I'm in a very unique position. It sucks, you know, if you've been waiting for it, and like I've seen some hilarious pictures of like Best Buy, like an entire Best Buy front window completely covered in the launch date for Cyberpunk, and like it's wrong now, and some poor guy's gonna have to pull that down.
Yep.
I've seen people who've booked time off work. I booked time off work for World of Warcraft Shadowlands, which also got delayed. So like I feel that pain. But in the grand scheme of things, is it a big deal waiting another month? You've already waited like 4 or 5 years, or however long it has been. B, you know, there's already reports of CD Projekt Red devs working themselves to the bone. So, like, give them a break. God.
So
it's only a month, and you're a grown-ass man, and there's so many games to play. Just take a chill pill, man. Like, it don't matter.
My thoughts on it were, I'm almost kind of glad it's delayed, because there's too many games at launch of both of these consoles. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get my PS5 day one, but I'm assuming I am, right? But, like, there's Valhalla. There's Watch Dogs Legions, because I don't think I'm going to play that game until it has that ray tracing patch, right? You know, there's the Falconeer and Tetris Effect and those.
Rand, by the way,
yes.
Sorry to cut you off, but since you're speaking about Watch Dogs Legion, I just want to give a shout out to Regina, King of Brazil, who DM'd me with a link that says Watch Dogs Legion is DirectX ray tracing.
Okay, so it is. Okay, so that's good. And then on PlayStation, there's like Demon Souls, and there's you know, Miles Morales that I really want to play. So there's a bunch of games, and Valhalla's not short. So to me, you know, like with Cyberpunk launching, I think was on the 17th, it was like, how am I going to have all this time to play all these games I want to play and then play Cyberpunk because I really want to play that? So I'm almost kind of happy it got delayed till December, because that actually gives me a lot of time to finish Valhalla, finish Legions, finish Miles Morales, play Demon Souls, try out Tetris Effect and the Falconeer and, you know, the Dirt 5 and some of those other games. So I'm actually, you know, happy. But then again, like, I understand people that would be upset if they took time off of work already and now they can't get time off of work in December, or if Cyberpunk was the only game they were looking forward to. Like, I'd get the disappointment, but I'm looking forward to like all the games. So to me, it's like, all right, cool. Like December, now there's like the Medium to play, which I feel bad for the Medium because they're going to have to move their game. Like, the game probably, it will be finished, but like you can't release the Medium on the same day Cyberpunk is out. I'm sorry, you just can't, you know? So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like there's a section of gamers who never grew up and are still in the console war and are still just basically giant man babies or man women or what would it be girl babies or whatever you want to call them. You know what I mean? And like
that's going up there with bone cream. Man.
Yeah, and they just are vile and toxic, and they like the people wishing death on developers for getting delayed. Like, what? It's a video game, bro. You're gonna be able to play it 3 weeks later. This isn't that serious. Like, how are you legit wishing harm on people? Like, these developers, like you said, supposedly are like working tirelessly to finish this game for you. They built this game for you. And you're going out there and saying, you know, F you, I hope you die? Like, what? Like, how old are you? Like, are you 40? Because if you're 40, you're pathetic. You know what I mean? Maybe I wouldn't even say I'd be more understanding, but like, if you were 13, maybe I could understand that mentality because you're still just a kid, and kids act like that. But then, like, would a kid really be interested in Cyberpunk? Probably not. So you know the people doing that are probably 40-year-old man baby virgins. You know, like that this game is their life, and you know, that's all they're looking forward to. And how dare you make me inconvenience for another 3 weeks? Like, those people are just absolutely pathetic in my opinion. Like, pure, like, just really pathetic. Moving on from that, the whole Cyberpunk delay. Let me see if we
and you know, it's funny. Like, you say like girl babies, but it really is always men. It really is. Like, I haven't seen many women complain about this.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got some super chats to read. We got one from my man Gaming Forte, who is Microsoft's newest acquisition. He works at GameStop, and now Microsoft owns GameStop, right, Jez? He says, my excitement for Halo has dimmed significantly over the last few years. 343i is a talented studio, but the direction of the studio needs to change. Furious George says... Yeah,
that's the thing about 343. It's like the devs are amazing. It's just whatever's going on with management that sucks. And that's probably what needs to change.
Okay, yeah. I agree with you. I think direction needs to change. Furious George says, first-time poster, long-time listener. I wonder if people are forgetting the point of a game like Halo. It should be fun and have solid gameplay. Victor says, maybe they should outsource Halo to a studio they wish to acquire like they did with Playground and Flight Simulator. I've seen some people say let id take a crack at Halo, but like,
oh yes,
you know,
maybe.
Scarecrow's
id Software Halo ODST 2 with maximum violence. Let's go, baby.
Yeah. Scarecrow says, good day to Rand and Jez. Here's my weekly super chat to support the two positive voices in gaming. All the best wishes from Brisbane, Australia. Thank you from all the support from Down Under. You see that little accent right there?
Oh, wow. That was pretty good.
That's pretty good, right? I've been working on that, Jez. Tony says, Jez is right. Halo Infinite ruined Xbox's marketing. Skatles says, Jez was not blinded by Halo's majesty, never about graphics for me, but physics, AI, gameplay, and the one game that brought all my friends together. I know that feeling, man. Halo 2, Halo 3, get together with your friends and play all the time.
See, I don't have any friends, so, you know, a big part of Halo is just wasted on me.
And we got Vic the Brick Gaming, pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2077, but waiting for Series X patch. That's the other thing. Like, I know a lot of people... Like, it should run amazing on the Series X and back and pat, but that next-gen patch won't be here till 2021 anyway, so, like, you know, some people might decide to hold off. And Yodinza, sorry if I said your name wrong, brother, he says, man, women, new term from fanboys, I'm using it on Twitter. Great. People using that.
Well, it's like...
Go ahead.
It's girl babies doesn't make sense, because girl means young woman already. So it's like a woman that acts like a man baby. What do you call them?
I don't know.
A woman baby.
A girl baby? I don't know.
A woman baby.
A woman baby. A woman baby.
You have to change the emphasis.
Zeke says Fable needs to look like steak. Fable needs to look good. I think Fable will look good. So there's some other things that Phil talked about that I figured we need to go over here. One being how basically talked about an Xbox streaming stick and how you can imagine, basically you have a TV and you can plug in a streaming stick to the USB port and you're just playing Xbox Game Pass on the PC, and how maybe they have an Xbox Game Pass Platinum tier. What are your thoughts on that, Jez? Because I haven't talked to you about that at all.
Yeah, that was a while ago now. Like we can have a longer podcast today if you're down for it because we started early
Yeah,
for
well,
that.
yeah, we're gonna go through. Yeah, that's what I was gonna figure. So, like, what do you think? What could a platinum tier for Game Pass mean? Like, I think the streaming stick is inevitable. I think that's the next logical step. But what do you think?
Well, it depends. Like, first of all, shout out to Brad Sams, who originally leaked that Microsoft was experimenting with a streaming stick called Project Hobart, which never materialized into an actual product. It could be that Microsoft has seen a downtrend in sticks like Fire TV and Chromecast. Um, you'll notice that there hasn't really been lots of companies who have made these kind of devices, and it could just be a case of, well, do they are they needed? Because every TV now is a smart TV. You can just put apps on them. Back in the day, when not every TV was a smart TV, basically, it was maybe a little bit more needed. So maybe they don't do that. Maybe they go the app route, because like once they have a web version, all they need to do then is get like the drivers and stuff compatible with TVs, because most TVs have Bluetooth now as well. Like my TV has Bluetooth. Um, so maybe that's the direction they go. Maybe they think like people won't want a streaming stick. It would be even easier to access if it was just an app on your TV. Maybe that's the way they go. I don't know, but we could certainly see it happening, right?
Yeah,
Microsoft have done dongles and stuff before.
I mean, you think about like their plan about basically getting this cheap, like basically making access to the Xbox ecosystem as cheap as possible. And I think Jez just left Discord, but like, yeah, if you want to buy the $500 Series X, you can. If you want to buy the cheaper $300 Series S, you can. If you own a PC that you already have, you can play games there. You own mobile devices, iOS and Android. All you gotta do is subscribe. Boom, you can play the games. But like,
Yeah.
everybody has got a mobile phone and everybody has TVs. And most TVs, being sold in the future will all be smart TVs. And maybe
Yeah.
Microsoft can get an app on a Samsung TV that's native, where it's like you load it up, you have a controller, boom, you can play. And I even saw Austin Evans' video with the PS5 DualSense, where the PS5 DualSense wouldn't work on the PS4, but it worked via xCloud. Like, he was playing Forza Horizon 4 with the PS5 DualSense controller. So
Mm.
you could imagine a scenario where, like, maybe there's a guy who's really entrenched in the PS5 ecosystem, right? He's got a DualSense, he's got a smart TV, doesn't really want to spend $300 on a Series S, doesn't want to spend $500 on it, isn't a PC gamer, but the TV's there. And if the DualSense works with xCloud, all he's got to do is maybe spend $50, $100 for a streaming stick or an app, and boom, he can play those Bethesda exclusives that he wants to play so dearly,
Yeah.
or all the other Xbox exclusives. And all he's got to do is subscribe to Game Pass, and you're good to go. And he already has the controller, you know? So it's all about
Yeah.
trying to get the access to Xbox as cheap as possible. So I think that happened. I'm interested in what a platinum tier for Game Pass would be, because they said it might come with hardware. Could you imagine, like, I know some people say, well, there's been like people talking about like, oh, an Xbox Series V is coming soon, and that's the real Xbox Series, console. It's like, and people were like, it's Project Edinburgh, and then me and Jazz were just like rolling our eyes, like Project Edinburgh is not even a consumer-facing product. Like, there's no such thing as Xbox Series V. So like,
Yeah.
people spreading that bullshit rumor, like, have no idea what the hell they're talking about. But what do you think like a platinum tier for Game Pass could entail, and what sort of hardware could it be? Is it like bundled with a streaming stick? Like, what are your thoughts on that? If you had to like kind of predict the future.
Well, I think like maybe what that means is maybe Xbox Game Pass Platinum tier. Maybe that's when Xbox All Access is matured and it works, and the companies they're working with don't suck, because Klarna in the UK really fucked things up. Sorry, I've screwed your algorithm there, Ron.
Mm.
Yeah, Klarna really screwed things up for XCloud in the UK. Not XCloud, Xbox All Access. God, so many brands. So maybe that's like not the kind of screw up you want attached to Xbox Game Pass. But when it's all mature and working how it should work, maybe Xbox Game Pass All Platinum tier incorporates Xbox All Access too. Because I don't really think they need to be on separate brands when it's matured. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Right. So
There's loads of stuff they can do. They're clearly exploring every avenue, right?
yeah, clearly. And Phil was also on Drop Frames podcast with Cole Carnage and those guys. It was a really cool interview. He talked about how Game Pass is completely sustainable as is, which is kind of a shot at
that narrative.
it's kind of a shot at the narrative that people spread that it's not. They currently have no plans for a price increase, which is interesting because Netflix just raised prices again, $1 for their most popular plan and $2 for the premium plan. Netflix seems to be always raising their prices.
See, I do wonder if like Xbox is less data intensive because once you've downloaded the game, that's it. But if like 1 million people watch a 4K streaming series, like how much more bandwidth is that? I don't know. Like might be something to investigate because Netflix's data. Oh, that's another thing. Microsoft doesn't have to pay Amazon for their data centers either. They even pulled Minecraft off Amazon's data centers now, so Microsoft doesn't even have to pay for the data centers. So Netflix has overheads that Microsoft doesn't have. And that's maybe affecting why they keep putting the price up. But that's an important point to make about why Game Pass is more sustainable maybe than Netflix is because Microsoft has their own cloud. Random side topic there for you. Sorry.
Yeah. Relis GT says outsource Halo to Bungie. I don't think Bungie would be interested in going back to Halo. They got Destiny and their new IP to work on. And RDX Devin says Sony doesn't see taking off on PS5 for a few years. I think he means VR.
Oh yeah, VR. Yeah,
they talked about that. Which VR's. Yeah, he basically super chatted again and said VR. Yeah, VR's kind of been at that point for a while where it's like people are like, when's it gonna take off? And I've always said it's too expensive. It's the headset is too like. There's too much there, especially with the first iteration of VR. Like, it's too heavy. There's wires everywhere. Like, VR will probably take off when it's, $200 and it's like a pair of glasses that you put on, essentially. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. Like, I actually saw, like, I was actually browsing Microsoft patents when I was in bed last night because it's what I do because I have no life. And I actually saw, do you remember those old Project Fortezilla glasses from years ago? I actually saw like some new patents related to that recently. The Microsoft augmented reality glasses, not HoloLens, that they were exploring at some point. So that there's so many barriers right now, and you only have to look at Facebook's financials to see how small streaming is as a platform right now. Like Oculus Rift is the biggest by far, and it's still a tiny, tiny little fragment of Facebook's operation. Like it barely registers on the chart. And Facebook's like, yeah, we've had, and that's what Facebook considers strong sales of Oculus Rift and Oculus Quest 2 and stuff like that. It's got a long way to go. And like Sony's like completely right. But I still appreciate them for exploring it because Microsoft efforts have been pretty pitiful so far.
Right. Let's see what else we got here. The full back compat. Jason Reynolds said that basically everything that currently works on the Xbox One except for Kinect games will be available day one on Series X, just like we kind of said they would, even though some people were saying it would only be 500 games. They're all going to work. And I think even on his podcast today, he said something like 5,000. On Major Nelson's podcast, someone sent me a tweet about it. So, I mean, we knew it was going to work. I mean, I had no doubts that their solution was going to take off. I'm interested in seeing what games they're doubling their frame rate on, because that's kind of the last missing piece. Like, we know back compat works great on Series X. Games like Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order and Sekiro, which you've tested, basically didn't have great frame rates on the One X in performance mode. Now they're pretty much as close to 60 as you can get. I mean, Digital Foundry's talked about that in many different titles. Like, games are going to run better and look better. But Microsoft talked about how games can double frame rates from 30 to 60 and 60 to 120. And they gave an example, a tech demo of Fallout 4 running at 60. but we don't have a list of any games that are getting that at launch. I mean, Jez, do you think we'll see games at launch that have?
Well, I found at least one game, one pretty major game that is enhanced that wasn't on any list that I saw.
Oh yeah.
That runs at 4K 60, whereas it previously didn't. So who knows, man? It's like any game that has dynamic resolution or an uncapped frame rate will see naturalistic improvements based on the way Microsoft developed the architecture, like around this, forward-looking design, which is really, really, really awesome of them. But yeah, like we literally have no idea how many this could eventually be. We just have to wait and see, I guess. Like, probably even Microsoft doesn't know. Like, does Microsoft have a list of every single game that has uncapped frame rate? If they do, they never provided it to me.
Right, but my point is more they've talked about this ability to double frame rate, and they've showed how it would work in something like Fallout 4. I'm just wondering if we're going to see any of that at the launch of Series X. Like, next week they come out and say, yeah, here's a list of 30 games that have their frame rate that were locked at 30 and now runs at 60. Like, can you imagine if they went into Red Dead Redemption 2 and was like, it's now 60 frames instead of 30? Although Rockstar probably wouldn't do that. Maybe Rockstar's planning on doing a remaster, but like that is maybe the missing piece of back compat. I mean, Microsoft's talked about it. I'm just wondering if we're going to see any of that for the launch of this console, or if that's going to be more down the road type stuff.
Well, I suppose like they've got a team that does this, so I suppose it depends on how they do it. Like, do they just say to a dev, "We'll do it for you"? Like if you give us access and stuff like that. I have literally no idea how it works. Like, but it does sound like Microsoft's doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to that stuff. So if your favorite game right now that you play a lot of is 30 frames per second, maybe you'll get a bump.
Yeah.
Like Rainbow Six Siege is reportedly going up to 120 hertz.
That's true. Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, we know Dirt's. We know Dirt's at 120. Ori is going to be 120. Gears 5 multiplayer is going to be 120. Halo's multiplayer is 120. Which
I asked Blizzard if they were planning any upgrades for Overwatch, but I reckon they're probably deep in development for Overwatch 2 at this point, which we haven't heard anything about.
I know. Hasn't it been a year? Right?
Yeah.
And I think I saw a tweet from you or saw from somebody where like Overwatch accounts for like a third of all Blizzard's users or something like that. Was it you that tweeted that or somebody else?
I didn't tweet that, but they did have their financials the other day. They always have them a similar time to Microsoft.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I would really...
It's still huge, man.
I would really like to see what games get their frame rates doubled, because that would be impressive. And the thing about 120 frames, we talked about it when I talked about the new TV I bought, but like not everybody's going to be able to take advantage of that. You need a very specific TV that can run 120 hertz. So hopefully more people, like, that's why I'm saying, like, if you're in the market for a new TV, you should take advantage of those prices for the CX. Whether it's a 55-inch or a 65-inch or the 48-inch or whatever, or the 77-inch. Could you imagine a 77-inch TV? I think that goes for like $3,500. Like, I'm sitting there looking at my 65-inch. I'm like, God, this thing is huge. I couldn't imagine another 12 inches. Like, that TV would be massive. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God. Anyways, Gears 5, they announced some of the upgrades for that. It's getting a new game plus mode. You can actually play as Batista in the campaign. He takes the place of Marcus. It's like a skin change, and it's actually Batista's voice. It's not John DiMaggio's, which you said is heretical, right? You weren't a fan of that?
It is heresy, man. Like, I wouldn't mind if Batista played him in the movie. That'd be pretty rad. I almost wonder if like this is like a test scenario or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's heresy. John DiMaggio is Marcus Phoenix, and I refuse to accept this heresy in Gears 5.
Yeah, that's all going to be there November 10th. I can't say if it's currently there right now. Like mutators in the campaign and skins you can play as, and 120 hertz in the multiplayer. They're also upgrading Halo Master Chief Collection as well. That's going to have 120 hertz support in the campaign and the multiplayer and all that stuff, which is great to see. Halo 5 Guardians, though, no upgrades, just faster loading. There's also the new Xbox mobile app came out, Jez. Have you tried out the new mobile app?
Yeah.
PlayStation put out a new
Yeah,
a new, new mobile app as well.
that's one of my leaks. That's one of my
Oh
leaks.
yeah, that's right.
What the hell? Oh, never mind. Yeah, that was one of my leaks. The new mobile app. It looks great, but man, we've lost quite a lot of functionality. No achievements, no store. You know, but it looks nice at least. Look, it's a big improvement, speed and usability and all that sort of stuff. I just hope those features come back.
I think achievements will come back. I think they just wanted to get it out because that's definitely an oversight. The store, though, I have a feeling the store is them trying to be compliant with Apple rules.
Yeah,
Think about it. Think about it. Like
that's
it's
a good
changed
point,
to the
yeah.
point where you can download any game that you want, even if you don't own it. But to purchase it, you have to be on the console or the website. It almost seems like maybe when that app originally came out where you could buy stuff on the phone, they were able to get around it somehow, but now they can't.
I
So they
hate
took away
Apple and
because
Google
because right that would
for the most part.
technically be in violation of Apple Store policy if you could buy games directly from the iOS app, right? They would want to take a cut and all that stuff, or am I completely wrong on that?
No, I think that's probably the long and short of it. Basically, Apple is a massive anti-competitive pile of crap, and they deserve to be slapped by the Department of Justice, like Google is. Did you see this? Google
Yeah,
getting slapped by the Department of Justice.
I
And
did
did
see
you
that.
see Apple opportunistically announcing it's going to make its own search engine? That's funny timing, isn't it? That's strange. Never mind.
Well, so Google pays what was it, $8 billion to Apple for or something like that, like a year every year for. So I read something like that. It was some like ridiculous payment. Um, but yeah, it's the app. I know people have issues with it. No achievements is an oversight. The store I do think is because of Apple store policies. No personalization for profile pictures. People are upset that you can't change, your picture on the app anymore. I think it'll get better.
They actually, what did they do? During COVID, they restricted the ability to upload a profile picture, to reduce stress on the servers that handle profile content. Um, I don't know if that's still the case or not, but you can get a profile picture through the old Windows 10 companion app on PC. That is currently available. So, what ifs?
Currently available indeed. And you know what? I think with that, we're gonna end this portion of the show. And if we're gonna take some questions for a bit, so if you guys got any questions you want to ask, make sure you put them in chat. We'll be reading it, and I want to thank each and every one of you guys that showed up for the podcast this Friday. Really, really love the interactions in the chat and everybody being here. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, the notification bell so you're always notified when this podcast goes live. You can follow me and Jez on Twitter, and we'll try to, you can DM me. Like I try to check my DMs as often as possible and reply to people, or send me a message on Xbox, and will get back. Just say more than hi, because if you just say hi, I don't know what to say back. So I get a lot of people that message me on Xbox to just say hi, and I'm just like, like, are you saying hi? Like, what do you want me to say back? Just, say something other than just hi. You know what I mean? Because I don't really respond to messages to just say hi, unfortunately. Yeah, Jez, this other thing, while we're waiting for people to drop down some comments, questions, the Xbox fridge that they started
Xbox
shipping
fridge.
around. Xbox fridge.
You want to know? Matt Brown from Windows Central was the one who started that meme. He made a really great Photoshop of that fridge in action, like with the reflection. He put a reflection on it and made it look really realistic and all that. So Microsoft thanked him for creating that fridge meme. I don't think so. Where's Matt's cut? That's what I want to know.
I know, right? It's a pretty good looking fridge, and they're giving it away to one person. I saw like iJustine got to film a video with it, and so did Snoop Dogg. So It's a pretty cool marketing thing. I saw Aaron Greenberg asking on Twitter if people would buy an Xbox mini fridge. Do you think that's actual market research? That's something they're gonna make to see if people would purchase, kind of like the onesie, the Xbox onesies they made?
Yeah, would you buy a mini fridge? I would.
I don't
I
know.
would buy one.
Maybe. I guess it would depend on the price, right? To see if it
I would
was
totally buy a fridge.
you
They'd
totally
probably be
would.
pretty expensive because they'd have to get some company to design and manufacture them.
Yeah.
I dread to think how much those fridges actually cost to make. Did they announce that? I reckon it
They
was a
haven't.
lot of
No.
money. Like,
Zeke says, "Hey, see that VR video on Microsoft Research Channel? That VR looks amazing." I have not. I have not seen it. Have you, Jez?
I have not seen it, but they're constantly exploring in VR. Like Microsoft has a whole VR division called they call it Windows Mixed Reality. But right now the focus is on business applications. So like training people how to do things remotely with augmented reality in HoloLens. Augmenting soldiers' vision. They've got a massive contract with the US military for HoloLens, like one of the biggest contracts ever that I've seen since I started writing. So like they are investing in it, but from a consumer perspective, they've done barely anything with it, which sucks, I guess. But it's like Microsoft said in past interviews, they want the tech to be comfortable and affordable, two things which it ain't right now.
Yeah.
You can either have comfortable or you can have affordable. You can't have both.
Uh,
Because the cheap Windows Mixed Reality headsets are garbage. So it is what it is.
Mr. Rigor Mortis says, "How does Grand Theft Auto 5 run and load on the Series X you got?"
Can't say sorry.
Yeah, not allowed to say anything about it. RDX Devin Nunes says, "Excited for Exo Mecha? I am." That's the like Transformers looking game that they showed off right before
Yeah.
the game showcase. Looks cool. I'll check it out whenever it comes out. I think it's free to play. Let's see what else we got here. Somebody says Matt Frost says we need the Phoenix collection, and that was trying. They were trying to get that trend a couple weeks ago, where it would be like a remaster of Gears 1, 2, and 3 for Xbox Series X, like they kind of did with the Master Chief collection. What do you? I know you love Gears. Would you be down for a Phoenix collection, Jez?
Yeah, I totally would. Like, I kind of. But the thing is, I also know that the Coalition is a much smaller studio than 343. So unless they outsource it to someone like Splash Damage, which isn't probably going to happen anymore, I don't. It probably won't happen because, that studios. I'd rather they worked on Gear 6 than that if they can't outsource it. But if they could outsource it or something, I would totally be down for that because Gears 2 does run really well on the One X and the Series X. Can I say that? I don't know, but it runs well. It's got an uncapped frame rate and all that sort of stuff, so it runs really well. But you can see the textures are like old fashioned. So I would love to see it get the Ultimate Edition treatment with a remaster and stuff, but I also would rather the Coalition use its resources to make Gear 6 as good as it can be, because they do not have as much money to play with as 343, unfortunately.
That is true.
Even though I totally think they deserve the money more than 343. Okay, thanks, bye.
Andrew Culling says, "If Series X can run the Kingdom Come Deliverance at 30 frames locked, then it's a miracle machine." Did that game have performance problems when it on the One X, Jez? Kingdom Come Deliverance?
Kingdom Come. I played that on PC, so I don't know. I'll put that on my list of games to test.
Okay. Kratopsy says, "Without giving any detail, what is your favorite improvement of the Series X as features goes without saying loading time?" I literally can't say anything about the Series X, brother. Like,
I mean, can I say, because
I mean,
of the
you
preview
might. I don't know.
coming out?
You've talked about your hands-on preview before. Like me, I'm under embargo. Like, I could only talk about the unboxing and what the console looks like and feels like and the controller. Like, I
Well,
can't mention anything else about.
okay, well, I'm gonna go out there and say this is my impression from the preview period, and echoes what I wrote in my preview article from last month? I can't even remember what. I don't even know what day of the week is. But quick resume like is just sweet. Like when you've had it and it works, and you've got like multiple games that you can just resume out of, it's really, really impressive. Like I was playing I was switching between like Overwatch and also playing, what was it? I was reviewing Mafia Definitive Edition, I think, at the time. And I was able to just switch from Overwatch then as my multiplayer game, and then switch back to Mafia as my single player game, and so that was pretty cool, and I think people are gonna really like it.
Yeah. Snake says, "What do you think about PUBG Corp's lazy Series X upgrade?" I think that's what now going to run at 60 frames on Series X, and I think One X. I did hear about that, but I haven't played PUBG in a while. I can't get anybody to play that with me, so my friends have kind of given up on that. So I probably won't check that out. Silencio NPC says, "Did you see the Arc upgrade in the Series X?" I did see the trailer for the upgrade for Arc. I Arc is not a game I'm very interested in. So I just really can't. I just really don't care about Arc. I'm sorry. That's definitely not going to be a game I'm gonna try out. Ian Dursey says, if the PS5 is dependent on boost clocks, how much is the performance going to be dependent on Silicon Lottery, and will press get cherry-picked units? I doubt the press is getting cherry-picked units. They're just getting the units that were produced.
Press are getting units that came off the assembly line just like everybody else.
Yeah. We'll have to see if the clocks matter, like if they have to, because of variable clock speed, if they have to like down clock it and stuff, and if that'll matter with games going forward. We don't know anything about that. Gary says, do either of the new consoles have better support for mods? Both were very limited in last gen. I mean, I think Xbox said they want to support mods more. I don't know if PlayStation says anything about that, right?
Yeah, I don't know if PlayStation doesn't really have a modding platform and stuff. I know that like Fallout 4 and Bethesda games support their internal modding stuff. Microsoft has said they want to support mods on PC, and the Xbox app on PC does let you unlock and decrypt a game so you can add injectors and you can modify the game files with hacks and mods and stuff like that. So like, and it comes up with this big warning, like if you do this, the game might break, because they want to make sure that they can't be liable for a game breaking if someone mods it. That's one thing about Microsoft, like their legal team is really aggressive when it comes to this stuff. So they have like a legal disclaimer you have to agree to when you unlock the files on that platform. Because people just like suing Microsoft. It's like companies literally make a career out of suing Microsoft. Like patent trolls and stuff like that. That's a completely different discussion. But I haven't seen a huge amount of movement on it. Like Paradox said they were going to do something with Microsoft ages ago, but with mods on PC. But if they have done anything, I haven't really seen any materialization of that. There certainly isn't a way to download mods on the Xbox store. There's not a way to download any kind of like mod content through the Xbox app on PC. So I don't know if that's still something they're working on or if they've just decided to prioritize other things or whatever. Like a lot of things Microsoft say, sometimes what Microsoft says it's going to do and what Microsoft actually does do are two different things.
Yeah. John Campbell says, this is for Jez mainly. If game goes under due to COVID, where the hell are we meant to get new games in the UK? Everything else is already gone.
Oh, God. Tesco?
Tesco? That digital, man. Digital.
Man, I don't even know. Dude, the thing about me is I don't go outside. I've been digital for like a million years. I get my food from Amazon Fresh, and I buy anything physical from Amazon. I haven't bought anything from Game in well over a decade. And that's just the way it's going, I guess. It sucks for people who are employed in retail, but I don't know. Everything's just going digital, just out of convenience, I guess.
Yeah. And the pandemic really accelerated that too.
Yeah.
Gunstar says, did we ever get to the bottom of the Xbox New Zealand GPS coordinates?
Isn't it that event they announced today?
Yeah, people were thinking it was like going to be. Remember that there was that leak with like, oh, they're going to announce all this stuff, and Phil's going to be at like the WWE center and all this stuff, and I was like, that's completely fake. You even said it was fake. And it was some event that they announced today that's like November 10th, and it's going to be streamed, and it's kind of like Let's Plays and stuff, but nothing big. Nothing like what people probably want it to be, where it's like a show where they unveil, the initiatives game or something, which I still think is going to be unveiled at the the Game Awards in December.
Think or no?
No, I don't know. I think like that's the
Hmm.
perfect way to debut Initiative's game. Because I wouldn't
Hmm.
be surprised if Sony's gonna have trailers there too.
Hmm.
Like I wouldn't be surprised if we get a full on trailer for like God of War or Horizon Zero or Forbidden West at the Game Awards. Xbox is gonna represent. You know, like Phil's talking about Compulsion's game as well as the Initiative's games recently. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe both those games debuted at the Game Awards. You know.
True.
Let's see what else we got here. Pong Soul says, "Hey, Rand and Jess, fantastic show as always, gentlemen. Thanks for the time today. You made my Friday work time awesome. Well, we are glad we can help you pass the time on a Friday." Cannibal says, "Hey, Jazz, which single player and multiplayer games are you looking forward to playing on Series X from launch day? And do you have any recommendations?"
Single player and multiplayer games on launch day. Well, obviously, I'm looking forward to Watch Dogs Legion ray tracing patch, which testers don't have access to right now. It looks stunning, and as we spoke about earlier, we didn't know if it was DX12 Ultimate, but apparently it is DX12 Ultimate. So there's the benefit of RDNA 2 right there, hardware accelerated ray tracing, which is exclusive to the Xbox version of Watch Dogs Legion, I guess. As far as I'm aware, do we know if PS5 Watch Dogs has ray tracing? My guess is no. I don't know, but anyway, I'll be playing Watch Dogs Legion and Yakuza Like a Dragon as well, which is Can I talk about that again? I can't. I can't remember. I probably can't talk about that, but I can talk about Watch Dogs. I'll be playing Watch Dogs and Yakuza, and for multiplayer, probably just Overwatch. Still, I can't get
It's
enough.
always Overwatch for you. So Shady says, "Can you confirm the date the embargo lifts, Rand?" I am not, but I believe other people have already said. If you watch Coates' video, I mean, he pretty much says it in his video. So if you really want to know, go check out Coates or Dealers, because I think Dealer also said it in his video today. But I'm pretty sure we weren't supposed to. So, yeah.
I have literally no idea. I really should read those emails.
Yeah, I mean, I read them, and I'm pretty sure we weren't supposed to divulge anything in the emails and the embargo information. Let's see what else we got here. Rick says, "Is ray tracing confirmed for Series S? Love from Brazil." Well, it's supposed to support ray tracing, but I believe Watch Dogs won't have ray tracing on the Series S, as well as Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition won't have ray tracing. And I think that kind of comes down to how maybe the development tools aren't as mature as they are in PlayStation. And maybe some developers
Yeah, I think like
don't want to.
I think it's sorry, go on.
Well, I was just thinking, I think some developers
Go on.
would rather not put ray tracing in the Series S so they can try to get more performance out of it, maybe. I don't know, that's just my speculation.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think like we might see like Microsoft tell devs like these are the best practices to get at least some ray tracing out of the Xbox Series S down the line. But I think what was previously being rumored is probably true, that the tools aren't as mature as PlayStation's, and probably the developer documentation isn't as mature as PlayStation. So I think I worry about the Series S. I wonder if that's going to be like the console that gets the least amount of like actual enhancements and stuff when it comes down to it.
Well, Phil said he expected that one to sell more than the Series X in the long run, which, I mean, I agree with him. I mean, the $200 price difference is pretty substantial. Let's see what else we got here. Keep on scrolling. Let's see. He says, "Why embargo? Because Stallion has been playing on stream with the Series X all the time." Hey man, I can only go with the embargo that I'm under. I'm not really concerned with what other people can do. So like, I signed that thing, and I'm going to adhere to that thing. So if other people can stream games, then good for them. But I can't talk about any of the stuff, unfortunately, until sometime later. And with that, I think we're gonna end the show. It was great being back after a week off, and I apologize for that. We'll be back next week. What's next week, Jazz? What's Friday next week? November 6th. And we will be going in depth about the Series X. Wink wink. So we can definitely talk way more about the Series X on the next podcast. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the show, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here, notification bell if you want to be notified. It's the best way to kind of make sure you're always notified whenever I drop content. Click the bell. Follow me and Jez on Twitter. And you got anything to say before we get out of here, Jez?
Nah, man. Keep it filmic. Watch Dogs is now the new filmic is 4K 30 with ray tracing. So that's the new filmic. And be nice to each other. And have a good weekend, I guess.
RDX Devin Nunes says I skipped his chat. I didn't see anything, buddy. I thought I read all yours. If so, I apologize, man. I don't see anything here from you. He says we need a new 007 game. Yeah, a new 007 game would. I'd be down for that.
Yeah. In Watch Dogs Legion, you can get one of the classes is basically James Bond. It's a spy that has like a watch that can lock people's weapons, and you also get a special car that can shoot missiles. And also, he wears a suit and has a silenced, pistol. So, if you want a 007 game, that's the closest thing.
Or you can wait for the Initiatives game where you play as a stealthy. It's a stealth game. You can basically play as James Bond, although probably a female James Bond. Maybe. Maybe. Hopefully, stealth game.
Maybe.
Anyways, we'll be back next week talking more about Series X and anything that happens in the gaming industry. And hope everyone has a great weekend. And keep it gaming, guys. Later.